You ever seen the meme with the picture and it's a 6, but it's or 9, but it's two people standing on opposite sides.
Yes.
So one sees a 6, one sees a 9, and the entire time they just don't realize that we're seeing the same thing just from two different.
And that's true. But remember, there's another meme where it says someone's opinion versus a fact. And it says 3 squared is someone thinking that it's 6. That's an opinion. No, the answer is 9.
Right.
That's a fact. But people's opinions be 3 squared is 6. No, that's incorrect as fuck. You can have an opinion, but understand that your opinions are incorrect.
You know what I'm saying? Mike Ragland. Are you shorting it up, Rags? Maybe because you dress, you know what I'm saying, you dress cool or whatever. But they're like, hell no.
And even when I rant, like I've heard people like jokingly say, "You know, you a know-it-all." And like I don't know a lot of shit. The more that I go and seek knowledge, the more I realize it's a lot of shit I don't know.
I know you hating that I'm
There's always 1,000 Michaels everywhere, so just always be able to go Mike Rags, you know, just stuff. That's how I came up with the Rags.
My price is going low.
But when it comes to like just talking about men and women and relationships and things like that, there really aren't many facts that we can really speak of. Like most of it is a matter of opinion. It's not a matter of facts. Like no one has enough data on every woman in the world for a man to say women are like this, but no woman has enough data points to say that all men are like this. You see what I'm saying? But we both do it. So my thing is, since none of us can really speak factually other than certain or particular people that we deal with or particular situations that we deal with, then it's just like everybody is just giving their opinion. Let's just realize that although my opinion might not be what you like, doesn't make it any less valid than your opinion, because at the end of the day, it's still your opinion, your perspective, what you see, what you've dealt with, and that's limited.
But
in the grand
if there's a large number of people in this one group who are saying the same thing, there has to be some validity to that, right?
But what is large? You know, there. How many people?
If you keep hearing the same thing repeated over and over and over again, but by a person who identifies in the same group,
right? But couldn't that be just a regional thing? Couldn't that just like, and regional in the grand scheme of things isn't a large number?
What happens relationally that's just regional?
Certain things. All right, just for a simple example.
Are we recording?
Women. Oh. Women up north usually I come off across as a little more feistier, a little more
aggressive.
Yeah, that's just how women up north act, right? That's a region. Well, I'm not gonna say all of them, but that's regionally that's what we hear. Women down south are more domesticated or more Southern belles. You know what I'm saying? Nice. You know, that's what we hear. Mm-hmm. So I think if a woman who was dealing with a man in this region that's used to women like that, then of course his relationship with her is going to look different than it would with a woman up north. You see what I'm saying? Because how they come across doesn't mean that he can then say, well, all women are like this up north because this is how this one woman work, or all these women down here are the same because this is how this one woman was. This is your particular instance. You see what I'm saying? I think we just take our experiences and say, well, even if I said every black person in Alabama when I was down there felt a certain type of way about one thing and I knew it was a fact, I still can't say a lot of men everywhere. No, because that's just 13% of the population here at just the University of Alabama, which is not even a speck of the total population. So it's still just something that I'm seeing in a certain environment.
But that's when you restructure your sentence and make it specific to that enviament. So you can say,
how often do you do that when you're talking about men? Do you say men that I've met in my time? Do you usually say that? Or do you say men?
Well, I may have not always done that, but I know now, like I will say, like from my experience or from what I've seen or based off of this.
Okay, that's something I guess that when I browse. But
there are certain things that like I will say generally that I do believe to be a fact.
Okay.
Like, I do believe that there are more quality women than there are quality men in at least in these United States of America.
What do you mean by quality?
I feel like there are more women who have their ish together, who could be a good partner to a person, versus the number of men who are available who can say the same thing.
So the reason I'm inferring from this, but I'm guessing those women are probably single or not married because of choice or because they're a lack of good men. That's what you're trying to say?
Yeah, I think,
Okay.
I mean, yeah, and that's why I say that, because you're gonna always, I mean, for generations, we've seen women who have never gotten married or never had kids or whatever the case may be, and it was just because of pool selection or even their personal choices and saying, I'm not dealing with certain circumstances in my life. Like, I'm not signing up for this unless I get X, Y, and Z. And are some of those standards ridiculous? Maybe. Like, you know, there have been conversations about like women having like ridiculous standards, right? But I don't think that's the average woman. I think most women just like really want the basics when it comes to finding a good partner, and that can be difficult to find sometimes. And like I said, like I talk to my godmother about relationships all the time. She's in her 50s, right? She has a girlfriend, like she's seen it, the same things I'm seeing, she's seen. Mm-hmm. And I think that their parents have seen similar things too. So this has been going on for a while, right? Where it's like we see women who are trying to be good women so that they could potentially find a good partner, and it's just difficult because part of it is a numbers game, right? Like there's just more women than there are men. So that,
and then doesn't help that it's more
that doesn't
quality
help.
women than more quality men. I'm gonna let you keep talking because I'm finna go in a minute. I'm gonna let you keep on going.
Why are you
I'm sorry.
laughing?
Because I have things.
Well, I thought we were starting somewhere else.
We up, and this
Let's
is finna
just go
flow
there.
right into it. No, this
Okay,
finna flow
go ahead,
right
say what
into
you need
it.
to
This
say.
finna flow right into it. My only thing about this is the only thing that I really don't like about what you said is when you just stuck on the word quality, because I think the only difference between the men and women is just how we view things. Like what you all view as a quality man or what men view as quality women. Like if I told you what men like, a woman is going to be like, well, or if I told you what men like, it's almost up to the woman to agree that's what men like. And that's
So,
not
for
your
example,
job. That is not yours.
I think the classic example is, right, like women saying like, oh, I have all these degrees, that's what makes me a quality, and men being like, I don't give a fuck about that. Like,
right.
I don't care nothing about your degrees.
Yeah.
I care about what you look like, how you make me feel at home. Can you make my home a home? And that's fine. But then at the end of the day, this is and I'm not mad at a man who makes that decision. I think there's a lot of truth in that, right? And I think that there are a lot of long-lasting relationships that exist like that. But men love to tell women, you guys knew that your baby daddy wasn't ish before you got pregnant by him, like you knew who you were dealing with, blah, blah, blah. Okay, well, same thing. A lot of times you see men deal with low quality BS from a woman that they got with who was not of high quality. And so it's like, I'm not surprised that she dragging you through the courts for petty reasons or threatening to call the police on you because you didn't pay your child support 1 month. And I mean, what did you think was going to happen? Look at where she comes from. Look at what she's done in her life. Has she ever had anything? Has she ever gone anywhere?
No,
But because she got a fat ass, you know, and a tiny waist,
it's more to it than that. I think,
and gave amazing head.
I think what women just kind of fail to realize sometimes is that, and I don't want to be harsh when I say this, but at the end of most of you all are not trying to propose to the man, right?
No.
Which means that you have to be chosen.
Absolutely.
So if you, and I hate when women be like, oh, there's a pick me. Like, that's what you should, I'm not saying you should strive to be a pick me, but you should strive to be chosen. So if you want to be chosen by says this is what I like, don't come back and say, well, this is what I'm going to give you, take it. Like that's kind of like,
and I think
backwards as hell.
I get what you're saying, but I think a lot of women who say that are saying from experience they have tried to make themselves something that maybe they weren't truly like who they were, so that they can be chosen. And they realize they still didn't win. They still didn't come out on top. So more so, I'm seeing women who are like, I've decided I'm going to be authentically me. And if there are areas of my life that I need to work on or need to polish out so that I can find a quality partner or just a partner in general, that I'm going to work on those things so that I can be a better person, not just to a potential partner, but to my friends and my family and to myself too. Because me sitting here acting like, oh, I'm so domesticated when I know I'm really not, that's not you. That's gonna be a problem that arises in a relationship if you're putting up that front.
True. And then I will give you this. Not all men, of course, but I have seen, especially on the internet, it's not even really niggas that I know. Just niggas on the internet.
You sure?
Maybe some that I know. But
I'm sure there is at least one.
I believe that most of us in our heart of hearts understand that this is not 1936. You know what I'm saying? So it's not, or 1960. You know, this is not our grandparents.
Yeah, things have changed.
Yeah, like women have changed, like women empowerment, women, like you said, being authentic to themselves, making sure that they accept themselves and kind of even, not even flaunt it, but like unashamedly, you know what I'm saying, represent what it is that we might look at as flaws, i.e., Aries Spears and Lizzo. Okay. Lizzo is a great example of a woman who is unashamedly herself. Mm-hmm. But we've had this conversation before.
Should she be?
We've had this conversation before.
Should she be?
I mean, we've had this conversation before.
No, I just genuinely.
I have no problem with Lizzo being who she is. Mm-hmm. Right? I've never been the type that came out on the internet and said anything about Lizzo. Because if it's something that I don't like, I just ignore it. You know what I'm saying? If it doesn't bother me to the point where I feel like I need to speak out on it.
Okay.
Right? But we were having a conversation one day, and before we get into Aries Spears, I want to just kind of discuss this. It's the other girl that we were using in the example, Tabria Majors. I think you were asking me the difference between why, like, because you asked me would I date, or you asked me would I date Lizzo. You know, you asked me what I.
And that conversation, that what I was presenting to you was a conversation that happened when you remember when Clubhouse first blew up, like end of 2020. So, you know, the thing that was so dope about Clubhouse was that it was this one, it felt exclusive, right? Like, you know, niggas love exclusivity. At first it was, yeah. Right. And then people were having like these authentic conversations with celebrities or people who have really large platforms. And one of the rooms that I was in was, why is Tabria Majors more accepted than Lizzo? Okay. And I thought, and Tabria was in the room. And so I just thought that was like, one, really dope that other plus size or fat women could all come together and have this like very nuanced conversation, and Tabria be present for it as well. And I thought that there was just a lot of interesting things that were brought up in that conversation. And so, you know, had my wheels turning, obviously. And so I also like to have these type of conversations with men.
Well, I think it's a fair question, because to answer your question with that you asked me that night, I think Lizzo is I told you, I think she's very cute. Like, her face is like, she's not an ugly woman at all. But would I personally date Lizzo? No, she's not my cup of tea. But you would probably date Tabria Majors? I said I might. And this is the thing. Even on a man, 250 pounds can look so different on, like, it's how it's
distributed.
Yeah, I don't mind, like, weight is not a thing to me. It's how it's
distributed.
Packaged. Yes, and I don't mind plus size women. Like, we've had that discussion before. I've been accused of being a chubby chaser.
I don't remember you telling me that though.
What?
That you like plus size women.
I told you that I have been involved with plus size women before.
And that's not a surprise, because
no problem with me. I had no problem.
Let me tell you something. This is the thing that a lot of men don't want to discuss or will want to admit to their homeboys. A lot of them love to smash thicker women. Y'all love to take them back to the crib after a long night, do whatever, because the sex is amazing. But y'all don't want to take us out on dates. I mean, I say us because I loop myself into that category of, plus size women, fat girls, whatever you want to call it. And that's been my experience. Like when I was in college, and some people honestly would be surprised. Like it be your athletes, it be like the finest guy on campus who want to get with you, and sometimes they don't care. Like they are like not ashamed of it. But sometimes they be like, nah, I don't want my boys to know. I don't want nobody else to know. But pull up to the crib and I be looking like you got me fucked up.
Well, and I tell you why. And this is how Aries Spears can get into this conversation. So a lot of niggas think like Spears though. You see what I'm saying? Or are afraid to take a woman out because they know other niggas think like Spears.
Right. That's really what it is. It's really it's more. It's not that they think that Lizzo was unattractive or that they wouldn't smash. It's the fact that I don't want to be the guy who was with the fat girl.
Right. That's just to be honest. I feel like that's why if they
and that
were
was your
ashamed,
case too, right? That's what you was doing, right?
And that's what women think. Like
no, I'm asking you. I want you to answer.
No.
So you would date a fat girl
because I told you I would date Tabria Majors, but I probably wouldn't date Lizzo just because I was shaped. I told you that.
Okay.
I was very honest and transparent. Yes, I told you it was the package.
I don't remember if it was the smashing or taking. I
told you I would probably smash Lizzo still though because she's pretty. I just told you I would be probably less inclined. You know what I'm saying, to necessarily date her. Now, if she was like, you got to date me to smash, and I might be at a crossroad. You know what I'm saying? Kind of thing.
What?
But if she was to let me, like, smash without having to date her, you know what I'm saying? I go have a good time with Lizzo. Like,
not you willing to take her out just so you can have sex with her. Niggas, I swear, y'all.
I mean, it's not.
It's not that deep. You can literally just like not have sex with her. You know
sometimes
right?
women put that on themselves though. When y'all come up with like certain things, I've told women that all the time. Like if a nigga want to fuck with you, you gonna know that. You gonna know that before 90 days. Like women who used to wait 90 days to do this or do that. Like if you, like you gonna know after a couple times if a nigga really wanna.
Yeah, that's true.
If he wanna, what you say? If he really want to invest in the cow and not just the milk, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know that, or you should, y'all all this intuition that y'all claim y'all have.
I mean, but that's developed over time. So that's developed over time because, I mean, we've all made mistakes when we were younger where we thought, like, the guy was more into us than maybe he really led on to be. And it ended up being, like, more of a situationship or something where it was like we just ended up being fuck buddies. And I was like, dang, I actually liked you. Like, I was hoping that this was going to progress into something for real. And you just fall into this trap of, So, yeah, like, when you're learning the signs of when a guy's, like, really into you and stuff like that, I mean, that was when, it's when you're much younger. But
see, so it sounds... If I can.
No, yeah,
no,
for sure.
This is, I want to provide some balance here, Cody. And I don't want to take too much from the main topic. But, Cody, I'm not going to have you sitting over there in that chair and act like women don't do the same thing. Now.
I didn't say they didn't.
Ronnie has entered the chat. Oh, well, that's fair. That's fair. That's fair.
But no. But
I just want to bring awareness to it.
No,
as a bigger guy, I'm gonna give you the other side of the perspective.
You're talking about women not wanting to. Oh yeah,
it'd be the pretty ones that want to have the friendship and talk your ear off. And hug on you.
Look, but see, I think there's a difference between having preferences and saying no. Listen, I think there's a difference between saying this is what I'm physically attracted to versus I will only sleep with you and nothing else.
I got you.
Now I'm sure there are girls who identify with that. Mm-hmm. I don't know too many, but like me personally, yes, like the guys that I've dated historically have either been like really tall and slanky or like thick and taller and like football player build. Like that's pretty much the spectrum. But I've never been like, oh yeah, I'll sleep with him, but like nothing else. If I sleep with you, it's because I also want to be with you more than likely.
But I think that's more because of what sex is for a woman. Because of, and I say this all the time, and I don't mean it to sound this harsh, but you all kind of have to get, trespassed upon. Like we are entering you, so it's you who has to be a little more
vulnerable.
Yeah, right, because that's someone is into your space.
And I don't even want to say vulnerable because y'all are supposed to be vulnerable too. But like,
you get what I'm saying. Like really, like it's intrusive almost how we have to, how it has to be done. You see what I'm saying? We have to get. So I understand why women are usually more particular about it. I mean, men should be particular about it as well. But so I get that. But what you have to understand too, though, is that men are. No, you're saying we eye creatures. You know what I'm saying?
Y'all are very animalistic. in a different type of way.
Cody, really? Animalistic?
Well, I say animalistic in the way that like we are mammals. We are animals at the end of the day. So there are certain things like from a nature perspective, like yes, there are certain things that like a man looks for. Like they say a man looks for, I forgot what the exact saying is, but something like, a man will look at a woman's hips to know, like, if this is somebody that I can procreate with. Like,
Fact.
So that's what I'm saying. But that's nature, right? Like that's your animal instinct kicking in when you look for things like that. And different animals in the kingdom, but different animals in the kingdom. Well, it's not barbaric though, because we are animals. Like literally, we are mammals. So
you're just saying it's more of our instinctive. That's what you're saying. Like
yes, it's natural, like instinctual. Like our human instincts is animalistic. Like,
but saying in that example, you were just saying that's more just like our instinctive thing.
Yes, and I say that you guys are more like in terms of like, I guess feeding into what you guys need physically. Mm-hmm. You guys are very just like. I don't know how to describe it. Like even when it comes
animalistic's not the term, Cody. Let's be real. Like be
women can be animalistic too. I'm just saying. Okay. I think that I'm not saying it's just like men. No. Yeah, I'm not saying it's just men. I'm just saying like I think men specifically like even when it comes like when you're in a relationship and when it comes to having sex, like I know every relationship I've been in, like the man has just been like, okay, so. We did it this morning. We're doing it tonight too, right? And 3 more times.
I mean, but I know
what's wrong with that too, though.
It's like it's nothing wrong with it, but it's like sometimes I'd be like, "Damn, can I get a break?"
I get that, and I definitely get that. But I know women who have insatiable appetites too, like who love sex. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But you all are usually shamed more for that.
There's definitely
Come
a double
on, Rags.
standard.
Let's get. Well, y'all got to get back to the main topic. But I like where you going, Rags. I do.
Yeah.
We're gonna tap that again.
Okay.
We're gonna tap that a little later because I do want to talk about one thing though that was discussed, and we even kind of touched on it one time when we had this conversation with you and your brother about when Eric Spears was tried to bring health in to prove his point. Mm-hmm. And that was the only thing that I was just like, okay. Like for him to just say he don't like it, just say you don't like it, bro, and just, you know what I'm saying?
Okay, so
cool
let's just get
to
what were your thoughts on him saying that? Let's just get straight to that.
I mean, I feel like I want to understand why he had to say it. You know what I'm saying? Like, if that's how you feel, like you can have those feelings, but like why you got to shame her publicly? You know what I'm saying? I don't understand why he had to do that.
That was your only thought?
Yeah.
You didn't think that it was extremely contradictory for him to be saying anything about what Lizzo looked like when he looked like a shitbag himself? He looked way worse than anybody. Like he now, like it was just like I cannot believe this man. Ari Spears is fucking hideous. That man is ugly as fuck. And then he fat his goddamn self. And it's clear that he's fat because he does not take care of himself. You want to know why I know that? Because he has dark circles around his eyes. That's the signs of complications from diabetes, sir. Diabetes that you have that Lizzo does not. So like how can you how dare you?
Yeah, I will say this about that. I guess I don't look at Ari Spears like, oh yeah, it's a ugly nigga. Like, you know what I'm saying? I just be like, shit.
How you don't see that?
I'm just saying, like, it's. I don't look at Lizzo and just be like, you know what I'm saying? I told you that, like, I don't care what she do publicly. Like, that's what she is, unashamedly. He unashamed too. So let both of them be unashamed. And if he felt like he wants a woman that's smaller and he can like that.
Yes, you can have your preferences,
so if
but
Lizzo
that doesn't mean that you have
said she will only date niggas my size or smaller, would y'all have anything to say about that? Hell no, because y'all gonna be like, good girl, go for you. You know what I'm saying? Love who you love you. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what she want. So if she would have come out against big men, like, I can't be like, damn, Lizzo, why you coming out against big men and you big too? Like, she like little niggas, okay? She wants smaller.
But I know people who do feel like if you're big, you shouldn't be discriminated against other big people. Like I've heard that.
Nah, this definitely
people be looking like, how you don't want to date a fat nigga when you fat yourself? And it's like preferences.
I've definitely heard that before. I've definitely probably said.
How come some people can have preferences and some people cannot? It's like and what people really don't want to get to is the fact that people dehumanize fat people. People act as if they can't have. It's all. I can't get into all the examples, but it's almost as if like, how dare you have an opinion? How dare you have a standard? How dare you have you know, expectations of anything. You're a fat person. And so when you hear, like, everybody else can have a preference to what they like, right? Because you as a skinny nigga can say, I don't want to be with a fat girl. But me as a fat girl can't say that I don't want to be with a fat man. Or what if I say I don't want to be with a skinny guy? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's
all going to be a problem.
It's going to be a problem. No matter what I say, it's going to be a problem. I also want to put a disclaimer in all this since we talk about sex. I'm in a relationship. Okay? I just want, because my man going to watch this and be like, so this is what you like? No, I like you, baby, okay?
I will have to co-sign with you on that, Cody. Again, being a bigger guy, I remember when I was.
But when you say bigger, what do you mean? Because you're not a big guy, you're just tall.
Rags will tell you, like,
you lost weight?
I used to carry some chunks. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I can say that about my. I mean, for real,
Okay.
like, I'll. Well, if you care to see, I'll show you some pictures. But, no, I just remember when I was dating, specifically when people would try to hook me up. They would only hook me up with bigger women. So I got to co-sign what you're saying there.
Yeah, and that is what I was going to say. I think for some reason it is like a. I'm not gonna sit here and act like society doesn't say like it's probably a lot of niggas that was like, yeah, Eric Spears is right with everything he said. Like, hell yeah, that's why she big nice, cause she ain't healthy. You know what I'm saying? But not realizing that it's. I tell folks all the time, I'm small as hell, but I'm probably one of the most, when it comes to eating and diet, like I'm unhealthy as a motherfucker.
You and Julius both. That's the part that used to piss me off. I would be like, me and Julius come from the same two niggas, and Julius would be like remember when we were living together, he would always be making fun of me like because I was eating something healthy, and the apartment would be smelling like real, sour or whatever because I'm cooking broccoli or Brussels sprouts or whatever. But he would be like, "What you cooking now?" Because Julius and granted, Julius doesn't eat a lot. He'll probably eat like 1.5 meals a day. But that 1.5 meal a day is going to be a sausage biscuit from McDonald's and then probably a 10-piece wing and some Cajun ranch fries for dinner. Those are his meals for the day. Whereas with me, I'm like eating 3 meals a day, but it's going to be like a salad. Then it's going to be I don't know, some baked chicken and some mashed potatoes and Brussels sprouts or whatever. Like, that's how I eat. And I'm like, look at him. Yeah. And it's like over here, I'm having to be conscious all the time about what I'm putting in my body.
Nah, I think for women though, because like I know when my parents were younger, my mom's actually reversed it now because she's the one that's lost weight and looks great, and my dad and blown the fuck up. But
don't do your dad like that.
Please.
He has, man. My dad, and I shout out to Eric. I'm definitely your child, but I tell him this to his face though, like. I joke with him a lot. If you ever follow me on Instagram, like I joke with him on my story sometimes, like dad, like, cause my dad used to be my size when he was 45.
But he probably doesn't work out.
No, he doesn't. And that's another thing too, though.
Because Julius doesn't do that either. Julius he's just always been slim.
Right, but that can change. You see what I'm saying? Because we gonna get older. But what I saw with my mom that kind of made me feel like, oh, okay, well, women can do it too sometimes, is that I don't know what it was, but I don't know if it was less stress from some, because I know she did stop going into work during the pandemic and having to go to work every day, and so her schedule allowed her to be at home, work from home, and so she started being able to work out with my brother and do videos, and so I guess, and she said this job is less stressful than the other IT jobs she's had in the past. So
that's good.
I think all those things. So I was gonna say like the day-to-day grind keeps a lot of people, especially those who have to work in order to survive and to pay bills and to eat. Yeah, it's like it's hard for them to say, oh well, I'm gonna give out 8 to 10 to 12 hours in a day on this job that I probably really just don't like or don't love, at least. Yeah. And then try to go and give in more energy after I've already been, you know what I'm saying, drained all day.
I would never forget when Tyra Banks had her talk show. She did an episode where she talked about health, and there was a segment where she had a bigger woman and a skinny girl do the same workouts at the same time. The bigger girl was active. Like, she would go work out on a regular basis. The skinny girl never worked out. And the skinny girl was just adamant that she was going to be able to like outdo the big girl in the physical activity that they were about to like show on the show. And the thicker girl like outdid her in everything. And it's like, society just, there's all sorts of information out there now, and I think it's newer information, but people will tell you that like so much of like what you look like is mainly best, or your body size is mainly based on genetics. And I can say like I ain't have no this. I was never going to be skinny, like never, and I never have been. Like the women on both sides of my family are thick, and you know it just is what it is. But you can check my records right now. Like I have a clean bill of health. I don't have any issues at all. But I'm sure there are people who look at me who don't know any better, who assume, oh, she got diabetes or high blood pressure or high cholesterol, like whatever, like the assumptions are. Right. And it's just like, you know, if people would read, but you know that they don't do that.
Yeah.
They don't.
Nah, we don't. And it's,
I want to get back to what Ronnie was saying. Yeah, when people were trying to hook me up too, occasionally, it didn't happen often. They weren't necessarily big dudes. They would just be ugly. And I would just be like, why? Like, am I unattractive just because I'm fat? Because I was like, last I checked, my face card never declined. Not ever in life. So I'm like, why do you think that this person and me would get...
So what, you can't deal with the guy who might be facially challenged? Like, he can't do anything about that? What if everything else going for him is good?
There has to be... First of all, you know,
I'm just talking shit.
But I'm like, but let's be honest. Like, typically, when you see two people get together, they're typically on the same level of like attractiveness.
That's a fact.
You don't see somebody who's a 9 with somebody who a 3.
Every now and then. Every now
up, though.
Right. Every now and then you'll see one, but
yeah, every once in a while you be like, "How that happen?"
Yeah,
but,
you be like, "What?"
Yeah,
well, okay, I get it.
Yes,
yeah, I get you.
So why would you think that was that? Like for me, like it was really offensive.
Slap in the face. Okay, yeah.
Absolutely. I had a friend before I got with my current boyfriend. I had a close family friend that you know, who tried to set me up with somebody, and it was disrespectful. It was very rude.
Disrespectful based off of looks
and how that guy tried me.
Okay.
Both.
Yeah, I
had to tell you off the record.
Oh, that's fine. I just, as men, we get characterized as being visual, but women got some of that too. That people
for
don't
sure.
really want to talk
but I
about.
feel like I'm very flexible. Like for me, let's take Don Cheadle for example. I like to use him. Don Cheadle is not the most attractive visually, but if you've ever listened to his interviews, he's very smart.
Yes,
and that to me is what's attractive. I can overlook your looks to a degree. Like you can't be a goonie, but I can look over looks to a degree if you're smart and we can have a good conversation.
Cody.
Yeah, she say that right now.
Wow, Cody.
What?
I mean, you just get it off your chest.
Cody been here capping sometime too.
What am I capping about?
Huh? You know you won't really talk to no guy that's not visually attractive just because he's smart.
I have.
Seriously, and really like wanted to be with him? Or did you just talk to him to pass the time? Because you know women love to just talk to niggas to pass the time. I think Dion Cole, it was somebody that said, somebody was like, women got them passer throughs, the nigga that just gets you to the next, till you get to the next level. Them stand-in niggas that you know you don't have no future with.
I've been that guy so many times. That is a fact.
I didn't do that.
Women, let me tell you something. Ooh, this gonna go into the next time.
I'm mad that you called me capping as if you really know me, Michael. Like you don't know me for real.
I don't know your dating life like that.
Yeah,
I know you though, but I don't know your dating life.
I'm very open. Like in my dating past, I've been very like none of the guys that I've dated have looked the same. None of them.
None of them. So
None
you don't
of
have
them.
a type.
In high school, I kind of had a type, and then I saw different types of men in college, and I was like, "Oh, I like this, I like that, I like that." And so then also when I was in college, different type of guys I think were attracted to me too. So and then when I moved to Texas, it was just like an array. Mm-hmm. Like it was a little bit of everybody.
I didn't heard she just sit here and dogged Aries Spears out. So I know she didn't sit here and talked about some niggas bad. I heard how you.
Well, it was I wouldn't have talked about Aries Spears if he hadn't voluntarily decided to disrespect Lizzo.
But you wouldn't have said it out loud, but you would have felt that.
Well,
you would have felt he was a
Aries
ugly
Spears,
ass nigga.
Aries Spears is not attractive. He's not. He's not. But I wouldn't go out of my way. But I would not go out of my way to say that. Whenever.
I'm not saying that
but
you
let me be clear.
Something. I'm saying that you would have felt like. I'm saying you still think he's ugly though. Like you really think this nigga ugly as fuck because you said it.
Yes.
You said it just came out. But that mean
Yes.
those feelings were there.
Well, whenever
So I'm
somebody,
sure you've seen a guy and been like, yeah, he's ugly as fuck. You know what I'm saying? And you wouldn't talk to him because he's ugly as fuck. Regardless if he
Yes.
opened his mouth and he sounded like had the Morgan
no, there's
Freeman voice.
yo,
or the
yeah,
nigga
there's
from
some guys who
Allstate.
I don't care how smart you are. It's no.
So they have to still be somewhat
That's why I
straddling
said
that
you can't be a
line.
Goonie.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Okay, I'm just making sure.
that's what a Goonie
Yeah,
is.
that's
Okay.
I
You don't remember the movie The Goonies?
Yeah,
and
but
the,
that- wasn't
and the
the
guy
Goonies
who was
ugly?
trapped in there,
Wasn't he ugly?
the guy who was trapped in the basement or
all
whatever.
the little monster looking things.
Yes.
But see, you gotta,
He was a monster. Visually, he's a monster. He's ugly. That's
that's
what I
how
thought you
some-
meant.
Some of them be looking like that.
See what I'm saying? That's what,
But
I just
that-
had to
but
make
that
sure we
sounds drastic,
emphasize that.
right?
Yeah,
It does sound very
does.
drastic.
It's not
I
that
wanted to make
many.
sure.
That's what I'm saying. Like for the most part, I'm open.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so we just
Thank
had
you
to get
for
some
clearing that up.
clarification.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get some clarification. I'm gonna get some straightening. You feel? I'm gonna get a little straightening before we get
Anyway.
to our next
We're going to do the
topic.
ballistic report when you fired all these shots off.
You know what? I have a lot to tell you off the record. Ronnie.
Okay.
So you sent me this clip, and it's something that I've heard another woman say, actually to me before, about how men can be like sexually or physically attracted to a woman, but yet don't like women. And I'm honestly trying to understand what the fuck does that even mean? Because are we saying like in a way of just being a friend? Because I've always had female friends who I've never done anything with, never even wanted to do anything with, but I know that we are sort of like-minded, so I hang with her, but I don't find that often. You know what I'm saying? So I don't hang around a whole bunch of women just on some hanging type shit. You feel what I'm saying? But I'll be around a woman most of the time. You know, I'm probably in my younger age. I've grown. I was probably just, you know what I'm saying, fooling around and just hunching on them. You see what I'm saying? So,
Not
but
hunching.
yeah, hunching on them. So I wanted to get first off your opinion on that whole spiel before I just go into it and just give my whole breakdown on the whole just men versus women shit.
Well,
Do you feel like there are men who, let me ask this then, do you feel like there are men who just fuck on women but really don't like women?
yes.
And so what do you mean? Like, what does that really look like?
So I'm going to challenge you
Okay.
into thinking about your own self in this way, because based off of the conversations you and I have had, right? You'll
Okay.
tell me that's just a woman thing. Oh, I don't know why y'all women. Like you'll list off all these things that women supposedly do that you don't like, or that's annoying, or that or that you don't have the patience for, right? But those are the things that makes a woman, but you don't like them. But you will fuck them in a heartbeat. And so that's what women typically mean is like, what do you like about a woman outside of her sex? If I do not have a vagina, and I'm still exuding everything else that there is about being a woman outside of my vagina, are you still gonna fuck with me?
All right, so let me first say this. I believe that when I say those things, I'm usually referring to how y'all be watching these weak ass reality TV shows, or how y'all get so excited about shit that I don't get excited about. Like on the way here, you were just talking about how Julia sent you something about a sports thing. You're like, I don't get that shit, Mike. You know what I'm saying? Like he's trying, but that's what But Julia sent me that shit. I'm weak at the shit. You know what I'm saying? Like
I get it to a degree. Give me more credit than that.
You knew who he was,
I know
but
who
you
Jimmy
still
Butler
didn't.
is.
But you just weren't like as like
I wasn't
into
excited.
yeah,
No.
like but for guys like or like fantasy football. Lord Jesus,
No.
women hate niggas that love fantasy football. Or
I don't hate
women
it. I just don't
always-
get it.
Women always have it up until I seen Meg Thee Stallion doing that pose on Party while he was playing the game.
Yeah.
I never saw women out here just talking about how they love niggas that play the video game. Y'all try to dog and talk about how niggas who play the video game all day.
I've never been that girl though. As
But
long
I've
as you don't
heard
spend your
women-
whole day doing it.
I've heard women say that shit so much to where like when men say, "Oh, well, I don't like when women do that," it's a problem. Like no, like it goes both ways. There are things that I don't like about some of my homeboys, and they men. You know what I'm saying? And we are real friends, like buddy, platonic as hell. And there's still some things I be like, damn, that nigga get on my nerves when he do this shit. Oh, I know when he come over here, he finna talk my fucking head off. You know what I'm saying? Like I have
Yeah.
people like that too. So it's like, But I can tell him, hey, bro, shut the fuck up. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Without his feelings, most of the times, getting hurt or him feeling like, oh, I hate him. If I were to tell my girl to be like, hey, or I don't have a girl, but if I were to tell her, hey, you talking too much, shut the fuck up. Just like I tell one of my homeboys, it's like I can't do that.
I don't think there's a large group of men who are like that, but I will say that I think the men who typically do think like that are men who got mama issues, or the men who think like Steve Harvey, who say, I can't be friends with a woman. Like the guys who think that you can only, like the only thing that a woman is good for is to have sex with them. You can't have a platonic relationship. Like you are so, and this is really what it comes down to. Men in this society are not taught to be disciplined. So you are so undisciplined that you are not able to be a friend to me without trying to fuck. That's the issue that you have.
I've actually told a girl that before too, so I get what you're saying. I've in my younger days, I've definitely told women before though, like, oh, we ain't fucking. Like, I don't need just no extra.
Like, why are you here?
Yeah, like I don't need no extra friends. You know what I'm saying? That's usually something niggas say
and
younger
that's about
when they just want their cat
and I'm
real bad.
sure
That's
there's a
really
lot of women who heard that, especially in college, where
For
it's
sure,
like
that's what I'm saying.
a
Yeah,
guy
yeah,
will
yeah.
ask for your phone number. Y'all hang out somewhere on campus. Then at maybe some point it will progress to where you go to his apartment or his dorm or whatever, and then he'll allude that like he just brought you there to have sex, and you'd be like, I thought we were just gonna hang out. Like
Right.
I wasn't trying to do all of that. And they would just kind of look at you like, well, why are you here?
Yeah.
And you'd be like, dang, like that's really how you feel. So you did all this build up just to be like, oh no, we not fucking, then bye.
Do you respect the honesty though, Cody?
In college, no, I don't think I did. I think in college I was mad because, and speaking for being a woman and knowing myself, I've always been a girl who wanted a relationship. I was always the girl who kind of wore my heart on my sleeve and was like, if I gave you my attention, if I gave you my time, I gave you my phone number, that's because I'm attracted to you as well. And I thought that there was a mutual attraction here and that you wanted to get to know me. And in the time that we've spent together leading up before you just tried me, we've gotten to know each other. And I like, right. Like I wouldn't go to your apartment or your dorm room if I wasn't attracted to like what our conversations have been about, or like, you know, if I didn't think that there was a mutual likeness there. And now I'm mad because I'm like, if that was all you want, and I understand that, like, for me, the level in which I expect people to be black and white is unrealistic. But I'm also, and I'm very honest, but I think sometimes I expect people to just be straight up honest with me out the jump. If you got my phone number just so you can have sex with me, I need you to just tell me that right now. Don't tell me a week from now when you've buttered me up. A nigga's gonna even wait a week long. So it's 2 days later.
It's a punctual honesty that you respect.
Tell me now.
Okay.
Don't waste my time.
I can.
But that was when I was 20.
I believe
19.
I believe women say that, but when niggas are that brash, or when we say what we say, and if it's like when we don't give you time or we don't consider your feelings and we just say it right off the front like that, then we're not caring enough, or we don't know how to nurture. We don't know how to.
But like, again, I'm talking about this in the context of like what I remember from my college days, right? Of course, you hit my ego. Yeah. Of course, I feel a way about it.
Yeah. I mean, but you don't think niggas have gotten used for the same? Like, niggas get used up too. Maybe not for sex, but for other things, niggas get used up all the time.
Here's my thing: it's a cycle, right?
Right.
Okay, so man uses girl, girl learns the game, she starts using man, and the cycle repeats, right?
Yeah, hurt people keep hurting people.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. In my mind, the man started that cycle. Now, I know that you started with Adam. First of all, I didn't say that. I say that it starts with men, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Because you do not meet women who start that shit most of the time. Like, most of the time, well, when I say start, meaning from a historical context. If you were to be like, how did this cycle start between men and women just using each other? It more than likely was a man, because why? Men are very physical. Men are more concerned about getting their nut than they are about anything else.
And
A
we're
woman
animals.
does not necessarily work in that way. We operate from our hearts. We operate from a standpoint of wanting to care for you, wanting to get to know you. We want to be emotionally vulnerable before we become physically vulnerable. For y'all don't care nothing about that. Y'all just be like, let's just get straight to it. So once a woman realizes like, oh, this is how men operate, bet. And now that's why we got all these women
But I
who are
told
out
you a
here
woman
talking
put
like they
me on
talking.
game back at Bama. I told you the first because I was always, I mean, I still am, but like, especially when I was young and growing up until I was probably like 19, 20, I wasn't doing drugs. I wasn't drinking. Like, I wasn't that kid in high school. I might have done it once or twice, but I never, like, I wasn't on that type of time.
Can I
Just
take
out
a
here.
lip gloss?
Go ahead, get your lip gloss right while I
I just
tell
feel
my
like it's a little.
while I tell
dry.
my story. And I've always, especially they used to call me like Church Mike. You know what I'm saying? When I was at school, like I was looked at the goody, like the good boy. So when I first went to Bama, you know, every girl I had sex with up until that point, I had some kind of like relationship with. Even we weren't just boyfriend and girlfriend. We were something, like we talked, we went out on dates, we were doing something. And then there was this, I was talking to this older girl when I first got to Bama my freshman year, and I was, you know, doing these things. And she was like, you know, if you just want to have sex with women, you could just tell her, you know what I'm saying? Like, you could just be like, you know, women, like, we like that too. And so you know what I'm saying? Oh, y'all like that too? Well, bet. Then, you know, she really took my approach to that.
But she had to get there because I bet when she was a freshman, she was not thinking like that.
She might not
You
have
were
been, but her
talking to
mama
her.
could have taught her that game. You see what I'm saying?
Maybe.
You see what I'm saying? It's like sometimes we have to realize that there are people think differently, right? And I know men who think, or who, I say this, sometimes when we're describing or generalizing characterizations in men and women, I know people who cross those lines, right? In my household, I tell people all the time, my household, when I hear women who describe how their father was in the house and how he took care of the house, breadwinner, money, made sure everything was taken care of, it's my mom. You know what I'm saying? And my dad was more of the calling everybody, checking on everybody, make sure everybody okay, making sure just everybody staying in touch. He's the one that I've seen cry more than my mom. Like, my dad will cry easier than my mom. You know what I'm saying? So, like, it was different. You know what I'm saying? But I think that's just a people thing. It's how they're raised. You know what I'm saying? It's how they were taught. My mom was, you know what I'm saying, raised a little different than my father, but they was, you know what I'm saying? Like, people are just different. So I tried to, what I've been trying to do a lot more intentionally within this last year is stop saying like men do, women do.
Okay.
Say people do. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what it is. It's people, like, because I can for everything that you can say that a man does, I can definitely give you an example of a woman who does it too.
But you, of course, but that's why you have generalizations. And I don't think there's anything wrong with generalizing occasionally.
I do, though, because I think that especially now in 2022 with things being so crossed up and so, like, every line is blurred. You see what I'm saying? So if every line is blurred, like, how can you say all women think like this? Or how can you think most men think like this?
I think there's a difference between all and most. I would
Well,
never say
even-
all women do something, but I would say, well, I think most women do this or most men do this.
But I don't even know how you would really, like, quantify that to say, like, that that's factual. You know what I'm saying? But when you could just
Well, like I told you at the beginning, where I was saying that I think there's more quality women than there are men. I say that based off of my own life experience, the things I've seen, the conversations that I've had with other people outside of Alabama, outside of Birmingham, people who I know from all over the place who will agree with me and say, like, yeah, I think there's some truth in that. Or me, like I said, just seeing it play out in different instances where I'm like, this seems to be like a theme here.
But you know what made me realize that, and this is what I had to get out myself, is what's the internet? Like, Twitter is an amazing place because there are so many people that think so differently, and I see on there that men and women do the same shit to each other all day. So it makes me realize that men and women do the same thing. It just looks differently. I was telling some guy, we were having a conversation because he was trying to explain to me how niggas was not as emotional as women, trying to defend why niggas ain't good nurturers and why they can't be as good as fathers as women, And I'm like, that's bullshit.
Yeah.
Because I just know that now, like, men, women, everybody is just based off it's based off your experiences. It's based off how you were raised. It also is based off what you're dealing with. You see what I'm saying? I think people are men, women, people are more willing to adapt to different things now when it comes to that, especially with all the fluidity. You know what I'm saying? With everything being so tangled and jumbled up. So I just don't like to hear people still speak as if all niggas do this or all women or most, because even then you're still not accounting for the change or the growth that's happened in like society. Like I think people have grown, a lot of people have grown past those same, like that's still 1960 thinking to me. You see what I'm saying? To say that men aren't as good as nurturers as women are, you know?
Yeah.
I don't think that's true.
Yeah, I agree.
You see what I'm saying? And that's just my big thing, like with just the whole men. It just seems like it's getting so much of men versus women. Like we really supposed to be on the same team.
Yeah.
You're supposed to be my teammate, not my competition.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? And I would really like for us to get away from it being such a competition and realize there's more in common with us than it is, you know what I'm saying, that it is different.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We just seem, and we like to take our personal experience and say, well, it has to be like this for everybody. Or like you just said, like I've talked to friends here and there. I'm sure I can ask another person there that same question. They have a different opinion. You see what I'm saying? It's just,
I agree. There's fluidity.
yeah. It's oh yeah. I just man, just, and this is something I had to grow into. I guess. 'Cause I guess I'm speaking personally for myself. Because I guess at one point in time I was still like in the older, you like to say misogynistic, but in the older way of thinking about how, like, you know. But, you know, just over the years, especially the last 2 years, I've seen that my ways of thinking were flawed. And I think a lot of other guys have started to feel that way too.
I'm proud of you for recognizing that.
But you do have some people.
Don't dismiss my.
Because I feel like you've
That was being dead ass.
Okay.
Take it.
Okay. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
But I'm going to be fair to our original point that got us onto this. When we just got back from a cruise, I was telling my buddy, like, I saw you and your friend, you posted da-da-da. Like, no, you hit that. Like, nah, I didn't. Like why you
now
feel
that,
like
I'm not going to lie, that's growth for real. Because I know for a fact, and I don't even know.
She has a whole entire, like, situation. Like, we weren't in the same bed. Like, we were going to celebrate our friend's anniversary. My best friend and her best friend. And I was the best man. She was the maid of honor. And we've tried to plan this trip. When we first started out after the wedding, it was supposed to be all the groomsmen, all the bridesmen. Every year we go start out with a couple of us, a few of us. And over the years, it just kind of dwindled down. And this was their 6th year. And so we were just like, you know what I'm saying? We were the only two that was willing to be there. You know, she had her own situation, and I respected that. She respected that. You know what I'm saying? Like, we ain't trying no shit. But it was funny to hear, like, one of my homeboys, like, no, like, just, like, not thinking. And
not knowing that Michael Ragland could grow up.
I think people think the worst of me because of my Instagram persona. And I say this. Listen, because you know me and you know me online, right? I am that person, but I exaggerate a little bit online because Rags is he's everything that I wish I could always say but can't because of reality. You see what I'm saying? So I use Rags to be uncensored Mike. You feel what I'm saying? Like, that's me, uncensored, unfiltered. But in real life, I am filtered. In real life, I have to be. You see what I'm saying? Everybody has to be. Nobody can just be. You can be authentic to yourself and still keep a filter on to make sure that you aren't crossing any lines or trying to cross other people's. Because we all share this space. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, this is my world, but I'm still sharing it with other people. So I've kind of learned that too. So I just try to give grace to give a little more grace to people who think less of me or still think that I haven't grown or think that men can't grow or that women can't do this. Because I used to be that guy that, like you said, in our conversation in the past, I can't stand women do that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've said that shit. I know I have. I'll admit it. And sometimes I still catch myself doing that, but it's a work in progress. Like, I'm consciously trying to make sure I tell myself, like, Mike, that's a people thing. You see what I'm saying? Like, I was with, I don't know where I was, but somebody made me watch Sweet Life of LA because they were watching it. And boy, when I tell you I got hooked by the time, but I was the whole time I was watching it, I was still mad at the people, my fault. I was still mad at them, like, and I said it then, I said, this is why I don't watch this shit. You know what I'm saying? But I actually enjoyed, I guess, kind of sitting at the TV yelling at it. You know, I just don't give it a chance sometimes so I get it. Like I said, I see both sides of the argument, but I think that we have to give people more grace now because it is people are trying to learn. Like you say, information is out there and some folks stuck in their ways, but I see a lot of growth in people. You know what I'm saying? I see some people who still stuck to though. You know what I'm saying? So that's just my whole about the men versus women, men not liking women but wanting to fuck them. Like, that's not just a man thing. Women can do the same thing.
Yeah, well, hold on. There's a difference between a woman saying, I just want to fuck you and nothing else, but being like, I don't like men and I only use y'all for sex.
But that's what I think. I think my point is, I don't know if a woman. Oh, we didn't. Oh, so let me get to that. That's because I did say I wanted to. Yeah. So, because I asked you what did that look like, and you gave me what that looked like to you. But what I hear when I hear that is, what if knowing that niggas are physical creatures, knowing that niggas are eye creatures, if you take your eyes away, what you like about me? What?
No.
That's what you're saying. Like, if you take away the physical, what makes me attracted to, because y'all gotta realize niggas are not fucking something that we don't like.
Yeah, but I think their point is like, so for me, I've always been good at making male friends. I don't know if it's because of my personality, but I've always had like a group of homeboys, and that's because I've always just appreciated the nature of a guy. Just like, and I think maybe some of it was the fact that in my mind, I didn't think that like as a girl that I couldn't do some of the things that guys could do, you know? So I always just felt like, yeah, we could be down and like be real with each other. And then, like, as I've gotten older, like my appreciation for men has grown, right? So like I appreciate that men can be protectors. I can appreciate men who are willing to, you know, help a woman out in whatever capacity, right? I love the fact that, you know, if I needed to have a conversation with the man about my relationship and like, you know, needing advice, I can get that. I just feel like in my life, I've had relationships with men where I can appreciate them and their different types or their different capacities and their perspectives, right? But I don't know too many men, or I'm not saying I don't know too many men because I'm not going to say that. I know that there are men out there who don't necessarily think about women in the same way that I just gave you an example. I don't think that there are men out there who really appreciate women for who they are. I don't think they appreciate, you know, the essence of a woman and her being, you know, a lot of times the natural caretaker or being somebody who could bring like a certain kind of feminine energy that men need sometimes so they can feel calm and relaxed. Like, I think that a lot of guys just want to have sex with a woman and that be the extent of it. They don't care about all the other stuff. Or maybe they do, but they also attach that other stuff to the sex as well.
I'll say this. I believe that, and this is just from like me personally and like my best friends, my best guy friends, we love women energy. Like, we love feminine, soft, feminine energy. Like, we love to just be around and not just fuck it, but just be around it. You know what I'm saying? Just having a good time. Like, let's call it some homegirls. And
I've been the same way with guys.
Yeah,
I've always been like, I want to hang around my homeboys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just have a good time.
Because it's a different type of good time I feel like I can have with guys versus my girlfriends.
Right. And so I think the only thing that I'm seeing more and more from some women is that like women are adapting more sometimes of a masculine energy. So it's like, if you want to be so I don't need a man, Miss Independent, I don't have to be soft, I can be alpha. I've heard women talk about they got alpha energy. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm trying to figure out like, okay, if that's what you want, I'm telling you, a nigga is not gonna want that from you, because that's not the essence of what we want from a woman. You see what I'm saying? So it's kind of like, sometimes I see women say that, but then it's like, are you really giving him the feminine? It goes back to, a nigga can tell you what he wants, and the woman's gonna tell you, "Nah, this is what you need," and that's the problem.
Yeah.
If a nigga telling you he wants soft energy, and you are presenting yourself strong and masculine every time you're over there, you never give him the time, or you never give him the opportunity to be the protector or the what, because you got everything yourself.
Yeah.
Then it's going to be harder for him to say, oh well, yeah, this is, I just like being around her.
But and that's fine. But I think you're wanting to conflate it, because I think that's what you're interpreting women saying about men not liking women. It's fine. Like, we're not talking about a man being turned off by a woman here. We're talking about
just being able to hang around him, right?
Yeah, we're talking about a man who is able to just be like, yeah, I like being around my homegirls, like you said, and it doesn't have any kind of sexual attachment to it. And in that video that I sent you, I told you a lot of the people that I think that girl is talking about are guys who are like, I cannot be friends with girls because I'm gonna want to fuck them. So
I believe. Yeah, you got old niggas like you said, Steve Harvey. They said he can't.
And it's not just old niggas. My ex was like that too.
There are guys who still have that archaic, barbaric.
Like, he would get mad at me if any of my homeboys text me.
But you got women that get mad if a nigga homegirl was texting him. It goes both ways. That's what
to
I'm saying.
To a degree,
No,
but a lot of that is
we're gonna be real, Cody. That's not to a degree. That is what it is.
I think for a lot of women, they feel like, well, yes,
people are
trust.
threatened
It's trust.
when the opposite sex has a certain reach or a certain way they can get to that person until they grow into who they are. You see what I'm saying? So if a woman is dating this guy and she feels like this woman has not the same availability, but she still can get in contact and talk and take up some of his time and take up some of his space and energy, she's going to feel some type of way about that until they grow into a place where they can be like, oh, well, I know this is just his friend. Like, this is really just his friend. Like, she is no threat to me. Women are like that too. Mm-hmm. Of course, guys are like that, but women are like that too. I don't think that's why women want to be able. I ain't gonna say women. The woman in the video that you sent me, she came across as a woman who wants to be Miss Independent, and
But how do you assume that in a 60-second clip?
Because how she came across was
Because she was opinionated?
No, because of how she came at him when he said, "Well, what do men like outside of this?" Like, it was like, okay, take away the vagina, take away, like, why we gotta take away things? Like, you see what I'm saying? Why?
Because
can't you
that's rooted in it, though.
No,
but
that's not, because see, you're missing the point. Men are visual.
yes,
We are eye creatures.
Yes.
So for a woman to say there, like, take away what you like most or what drives you most, and then tell me what you like about me. First off, it's not even just a you thing. Like, I can not like this female and give her the response, well,
Female.
like, exact point in case. I can date this female, this woman, and say, you know what, if we not having sex, I don't want to be around you. And I could date another woman and never even think about having sex with her, because she gives me a different vibe than her. But if I tell her that doesn't mean I don't like women, because I told her that. So just before,
Michael, but you're missing the point. You keep conflating being unattracted to a woman to
I'm
women
not talking
saying,
about unattracted. I'm talking about
but you
vibes.
We're
talking about vibing with people, right?
But you just gave me an example how you were saying that I can hang out with a woman and then decide that I don't really want to fuck with her like that because of her energy, or because
I said I can hang out with a woman and decide that I just want to fuck her. Then I can hang out with another woman that I'm dating and decide, you know what, I want to do more than just fuck her. It's not me saying I don't like hurt women, so I told her that.
Right.
It's
So you're talking about levels of attraction.
I'm talking about me not liking her in particular, and so since I told that woman I don't like her, you can't assume that I don't like women because I just want to fuck her.
But then the question is, why would you want to have sex with somebody that you don't like that?
That's a totally different question.
No, it's not, because that's part of the argument.
No, it's not, because we
Michael,
are flesh. You just said we already established that men are
her point
visual
in that clip,
creatures,
okay,
and we are
aside
physical
from that,
creatures.
her point also, let's just take sex out of it. A lot of men also will just like they want to be with women based off of what they can get from her
And women don't.
No.
Just because it's not sex, y'all still, man, to make sure you got to have security. You got to make sure that a nigga got this. You just sat up here and told me why men aren't quality men. And based off of things such as not being able to have their shit together, I'm pretty sure you're talking about finance.
Yeah, but I'm not.
I'm pretty sure you're not talking about.
Yeah, but you can have money and
dress.
still make less than me. So that's like that.
But you still want him to be able to provide security,
You can still
right?
have your shit together and not be what I want you to be in terms of finances. So I wouldn't say that.
But women, so you telling me that women?
Hold on, we're getting all off the we're getting on like 15 different lanes.
No, we're not, because we're talking about why men don't like women outside of sex. And I'm saying, like, just because a nigga says,
but you haven't been able to get. You just sat here and told me that you didn't like somebody and you still trying to fuck her.
So what does that show?
That shows that you proving the girl point.
Then I just told you on the other side that there's a girl that I can be with, chill with, and not even just think about fuck. So I'm also showing that on the opposite side of the coin, there is both. Like, I can prove your point in this situation.
Okay,
and then I can disprove your point in this situation.
But you're talking
and show
about
you
yourself.
that it's not just a woman thing.
But
it's
you're talking
a
about
her
yourself.
thing.
But there are a lot of guys out here who are like, I don't know how to be in a relationship, and so I'm just gonna fuck around.
And there are women like that
and
too.
there are a lot. But there are a lot of.
There are women like that too. I meet a lot of women who are older. You know, I like older women too. But why you think they like that?
Were they always like that though?
It doesn't matter.
It does
Cody.
matter because there are a lot of guys.
We're not talking about why men are. You act like men don't do these things based off of trauma response.
I'm saying
you want to make it a trauma response for why women can be that way, but not why men can.
Going back to the statement that I made earlier. Society does not require men to be disciplined. There are a lot, and outside of just discipline, there are a lot of things that men are just not required to. Let me finish.
Hold on.
Let me finish. 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 I'm just using that as like one little tiny example. Society in general, like, has not required men to be much of anything except for a man in order to obtain a woman. You guys didn't have to have like a whole bunch of stuff in the now it's starting to become the other way around because women are starting to level up with their education and with their money. And so now like women are starting to have certain standards and be like, oh no, sir. You're not just gonna use me or think that you're just gonna like come in here and have sex with me without actually trying to show me that you like want me. And I think a lot of women, what they're seeing is like, okay, I was brought up to believe that a man is supposed to be X, Y, and Z. And now I'm out here and I'm not seeing any of that. But what I do keep getting is men who are wanting to sleep with me on a regular basis, but they're not actually valuing me as a person. They're not actually trying to get to know me. They don't appreciate what I can bring to the table.
Okay. And that's
does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, that's all I was saying.
This is what I'm trying to get you to understand. So bring to the table. We're going to put a pin right there. Bring to the table.
Oh my God.
Now, if a nigga tells you what he wants you to bring to the table and you keep telling him, well, no, I have this though, that's the disconnect.
What's this
Women
though?
do never want to look at themselves. You keep this
whole
thing is me trying to tell you that women basically don't want to look at themselves and take not any accountability, but some women don't like to take accountability for looking at themselves and realizing that they are the problem. We always want to say what men don't do, and we are simple creatures. We tell you what we like, and if you don't fuck with it, leave. But if you stick around and trying to change niggas into something else that you want him to be,
yes, women do that. Yes,
don't do that. That's how y'all get fucked up because y'all keep trying to do that. We are not projects for you all to work on. You see what I'm saying?
But that's something.
We are not a Build-A-Bear.
How many women are you meeting over 30 who are still doing that? There's not that, like, that's something that goes, that's the next. So we talked, no. We talked about what happened in college, right? How we had to learn how, if a man really liked us or not, and being able to figure that out, like, between high school and college, right? Then you graduate to your 20s where you're like, you realizing, oh, I can't build this nigga up. I can't build him into liking me. I can't make him my project. Then we learn that. So if there are women out there who are still doing that after, like, in my opinion, after 30, then you just are acting out of probably desperation because you just want to have companionship that bad that you're willing to deal with somebody who has straight up told you this ain't it.
And I think another thing that I guess my passion is kind of making me miss this or making me say it to where you get what I'm trying to say. So this is in the simplest terms I can say. We know that kids like candy, right? If I go to a store and the kid says all these choices of candy, but he only likes this type of candy, I don't care how much this candy costs. If it's a better quality in your opinion or whatever, if that's the candy he want, give him that candy. You see what I'm saying? So if a guy tells you I don't need a woman that can do this, to his eyes, you might be a good woman in your eyes, but to you, you're not the quality woman that he wants.
Sure.
So I'm saying when you talk about the quality of men versus quality of women, like I think it's just a disconnect and people just not listening to what the other person wants.
But I think that also goes back to what I said on the last episode, right? Where I told you there were guys that I would be involved with who would be like, Cody, I don't know about serious relationship, but I'll have a baby with you. Well, why would you want to have a baby with me and not a marriage? Because I'm a quality woman. You know that if you have a child with me, you're going to have a child that's going to be well-spoken, well taken care of, because I'm going to keep a job. I'm going to keep a well-paying job. He's going to be able to move about in society. He's going to be well-educated. You know that you are producing quality seed if you put a baby in me.
For nurturing and building my seed, not
Right.
for being with me. That's
Right.
the difference.
Right.
We're
And that's-
talking about
but-
women
but-
wanting to
and that's fine.
be
And that's-
with a man.
and that's
right? We're not
fine,
talking
but-
about starting a family. We're talking
That-
about y'all.
But you
wanna
are starting a family. If you're not married with them, you still starting a family. That
No,
is your
But
family.
we're talking about just being attracted to people. We're talking about just dealing with people. We're talking about just dating people. We're not talking
But I just
about
think
the
that's
whole-
flawed logic. Like if we're operating out of the way society is set up, you saying that you like what Nick Cannon is doing is ridiculous. You having all these babies and stuff and not marrying nobody, or at least not have at least create a concubine where they all living on the same campus or something.
Why?
But
They might not get along. But he's obviously
the
circling
point-
back to some of the same women. It's not like he has 10 women, 10 babies by 10 different.
you don't think that a present father is necessary?
Yeah,
That's
but
really all it comes down to.
Yeah.
If you can be present to all 10 of your kids and your 5 baby mamas, then have at it. That is fine.
But listen, I listened to Kevin Hart talk about the struggles of him just being there present with just 2 or 3 kids. You see what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So I'm saying
So
if
how
you're
you think
on
you
a
gonna do
certain
it with
level,
10
so I'm saying
kids?
when you're on a certain level, you're not going to and making money, running all these multi-million-dollar companies, having your own TV show. Like how much time physically are you going to be able to give any one
So why
kid?
would you produce more?
So I'm saying is, why can't he still be giving them time? We got all this technology. We got phones. We got FaceTime. Like, why can't
I think that is just
phone calls? Like, that's all.
okay. Even if we just want to leave it at
raise,
Kevin Hart, Kevin Hart's kids are gonna have things that they're gonna have to work out in therapy
and
because
so
of
are
who their
kids
dads
who
are.
were born with both mama and daddy
No,
in the
I
house.
think that it is our responsibility as human beings. We're supposed to be evolving in this world, right?
Right.
Part of evolving is being able to look at the past and say, okay, this was not right. I want to do better in this area, and I want to make better decisions for my future and for my future seed.
Right.
Okay, so if you can look and see how the fuck everybody else did stuff wrong, why can't you be conscious enough to be like, I don't want to do this to my children, and not repeat that cycle, or at least be better.
What is he doing to his children? If you can tell me one negative thing other than he's
Who
not
you
going to be
talking
able
about?
to fit Nick Cannon, other than
not
he's not going to be able to physically be there.
That's important.
How it's important, but it's.
You're-
I think y'all are
you're
trying to blow that.
diminishing-
No.
no.
Y'all trying to blow that shit out of proportion.
No, we not.
Yes,
no.
y'all are.
Do
Yes,
you-
y'all are. Because this is
Michael,
the thing
how
about it, bro. I
many
have
people do
friends
you
who
know-
were raised by
how-
single mamas, and
And they
had,
probably got fucked up shit that they got to work
and
out
so
in
do the
therapy.
niggas who was raised with their mama
I
and
would-
dad in
look,
the house.
let
That's
me
what I'm
t-
saying. It's
yes,
not,
people are, but
it's
there's
about
levels.
community,
but
bro.
there's
It's
levels.
people-
But there's
more
levels.
than just a mother and father
But there's
raised
levels.
kids. Listen, more than just a mother and father raised kids. We gonna
There's
cut
levels.
that shit in. No, we gonna
There's
cut that
levels
shit.
to it.
Stop, Cody. We gonna cut that shit in the bag because that's bullshit.
No, it's not.
There's more. If the only thing that's going to shape a child is those
That's
two
not the
parents.
only thing.
If the only thing that's going to shape a child, if that's what's going to make or break a child, is
It's not
two
gonna make or
parents,
break a child, but
So
then-
stop giving him so much flack about it. If he's going to be able
Michael,
to make sure they're cared
parenting
for,
is not black and white. Parenting is not black and white.
So why are y'all
Okay.
giving him so much flack for having more than one, having all these kids?
Because there's levels to it, which is my point. Are you gonna shut up and let me talk? Thank you so much, because you've been hollering at me and you about to owe me an apology. Okay, so there are levels, in my opinion, to trauma. I think there's levels in which kids can deal with abandonment or whatever the list of things that kids can deal with that are considered negative that they're gonna have to unwork. There's levels to it, okay? Now I came from a 2-parent household. And I'm nowhere near flawless, right? I'm also in a relationship with somebody who grew up in a 2-parent household. And me and him constantly are having to talk about why we're the way that we are based off of our childhood, right? Our experiences are nowhere near the same. And we both grew up in a 2-parent household, right? The difference between us, I can say right now, is that my parents are divorced today. They got divorced when I was in my adulthood. His parents are still together. So there are things that me and him are having to constantly talk through so that we can continue to grow and understand each other. I'm not saying that a 2-parent household fixes everything. I'm not saying that. But I do think that there are, if you want to call variables, that can add to what a child's experience is and how they turn out to be as an adult and in the world, society, in entering into society. So we talk all the time. I mean, you don't hear about it as much anymore because I think that it's not happening as much as it used to. But we used to hear all the time about, the absentee father, right? And the effects on that, right? That wasn't bullshit. That meant let me finish. That meant something. And on the reverse, you also had absentee, in the rare cases, it didn't happen as often, but you had absentee mothers too, and the effects that it had on the childhood. I mean, on the child. So, and even when you talk to a lot of, I'm trying to think who's a good example. I mean, I think Angelina Jolie is probably a good example. Her father is an actor, and all the things that she had to experience, she doesn't talk about it openly, but it's like very clear that, like, she's children of celebrities who had parents who were very ambitious in this spotlight and weren't home very often. They also deal with stuff too that they've had to unlearn or had to work through. And a lot of those same kids are not able to be in healthy relationships themselves because they didn't see it with their parents growing up. Their father was always absent. They thought that money was going to be able to fix everything, right? So my point is this. Everybody has some shit. None of us are perfect. All of us have flaws. All of us are products of our childhood, period. And none of us go unscarred. However, certain children can be scarred more. And I just do not believe that it is okay for Nick Cannon to have 10 different kids and throwing money at it as if it's gonna solve stuff, because this baby mama is being dragged on Twitter right now. Do you know why?
No.
Okay, so I'll tell you. The baby mama, whoever, I don't know where she fall in line. She got a newborn, so I guess the baby was born sometime this year.
Okay.
Bree Tessie or whatever. She has one kid from Nick Cannon. She complained on social media about and it wasn't like oh, I'm so exhausted. Like, she wasn't like negative about it, but she was just like, y'all, I've been up for the last 72 hours because I haven't had any sleep because my baby is still breastfeeding and teething and blah, 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 like, newborn mother stuff. Mm-hmm. And so someone commented and suggested, why don't you get a night nurse? So for those who don't know, a night nurse is somebody who basically takes care of your child during the night so that you can sleep, because babies get up, newborn babies at least get up every 2 to 3 hours. You're not able to sleep and you're not able to function, right? So people with money, people who have access, because they're not cheap, get a night nurse who will come in from 10 p.m. to 8 a.m. or something like that so that you can get proper rest. Mm-hmm. And the baby mama responded and said, with what money? So everybody was like, bitch, isn't Nick Cannon your baby daddy? And so the baby mama comes back and was like, you guys are blowing this all out of proportion, blah, blah, blah. But the thing was, everybody was looking like, why would you even mention anything about how it was going to be paid for if money is not an issue, right? Now, I don't have a dog in this fight. I really don't care about who's right or who's wrong. But I'm just saying, I just don't believe that you can have multiple households that are spread out across the country or wherever the fuck and have multiple kids and everything be healthy and copacetic. And again, I don't expect for parents to do everything 100% correctly. I just think that we have enough information out there to know when you're making the best decision for your child. I haven't heard Nick Cannon be able to I've heard him say some shit about him being able to take care of the mothers of his children. Basically, what I've heard from Nick before is that I have so much money that I'm able to provide a wonderful lifestyle for the mothers of my children to be the best mothers to my children. Now, I think that that's great. However, those children still need their father. He still needs to be present in their lives.
And so
I just don't see how is that possible when you have so many kids across so many. At least put them on the same plantation.
You don't have to do that, Cody. Because even if they were all in the same spot at the same place every day, first off, just seeing my friends have 2 kids, you're not going to be able to. Just being raised in the house with my parents and they having 2 kids, they still weren't able to give us the same amount of attention. As much as
I get that,
I let you talk, but why? I let you talk.
But why? I just don't, because you said that already. So I'm saying, I hear what you're saying. It's hard to do it when they're in the same house. So why you think that it's any easier, or if they're spread out of different?
My thing is the irony of it in this age of women being able to do what the fuck they want to with their body. It's just so ironic that when
we're not able to do what we want to with our body.
Did
you know Roe versus Wade just got overturned?
No. We're talking about just women empowerment in society. We're talking about how Megan Thee Stallion just went on stage last night and I was seeing women all on Twitter how she reclaimed her body, talking about I can fuck who I want to when I want. She can do what she want to with her body.
Yeah, we can to a degree without but there's still consequences though.
Cody, can I talk?
Mike,
can I talk? Are you gonna let me talk? I just sat there and listened to your soliloquy. Can I talk?
Not soliloquy,
nigga. Because you missing my point.
Finish your point.
The irony is that now that Nick Cannon is having these conversations with these women that they have made an agreement with to have this child and stuff, we want to be like, nah, you shouldn't do that with your body because you doing this, and then y'all saying, well, what we're gonna tell you is it's not you doing what you're doing with your body that's the problem. It's that these kids won't have a present father. When we talk about absent fathers, we talking about niggas who are literally incapable or not there for their kid in any type of way. We're not talking about absent fathers who are joint custody fathers or kids that were born out of wedlock who don't only see their fathers on the weekend. That's not an absent father. Even though he only sees his child on the weekend,
I don't
that
see the
doesn't
difference.
make him. You don't see the difference. So an absent father to you means he doesn't. Anybody that's not married with kids, you're saying is an absent father.
No, what I'm saying is if I'm a single mother and I have joint custody with my father with a man, to me it's very similar predicaments. You're not there all the time. The child is still going to be affected. Yes.
So you're saying if people aren't married, then obviously their father has to be an absent father.
Or in the same household, sure. So yeah.
Okay, that's all I wanted to
And
get.
the reason I say it like that is because
I feel like that's a very flawed way of thinking.
What's a very flawed way of thinking?
To feel like just because somebody isn't with you 24/7 or 7 days a week. Like, what about people who have to be? What about truck drivers who have family and they have to be gone months out the year, or people who go fishing in Alaska for 6 months out the year? That's the same comparison
that you made about Kevin Hart. Those kids, like I said, the kids are not going to be scar free. That's not possible. So I'm not expecting that. But what I am expecting, but what I'm saying is, what I am expecting out of people is to be able to make sound decisions.
Why isn't this a sound decision? Because you don't agree with it doesn't not make it sound. Just because Vivica Fox don't agree with it on that little show.
I don't even know what she said about that.
She, her and her little friends, they had a whole little thing to say. And I'm telling y'all that just because this is what we started out the show with. Facts versus opinions. Just because your matter of opinion says that it's not good does not make it a fact.
Right, but my opinions are also based off of the facts.
Not about their situation.
My opinion is based off of what we have seen historically. What we have seen is that people who
where are the numbers that say that every child
you can look them up. They're out there.
Hold on, there aren't any numbers that say if a child does not have a father who is in his house every day off work by 5 o'clock so he can spend time with his child every day of the week. Like, that's what you asking for a person to be. That's the only way you've seen somebody to be present.
There is data out there that talks about how children are affected by not having mothers and fathers in the house full time. Okay. Now, I'm not saying that it's possible for children to be raised without any scars. What I'm saying is, I think that as humans in today's society, we have evolved and have enough information out there to know what are the best decisions out there for a child. And if we can agree that a child is being affected by not having the father in the house consistently, regardless of the reason, whether it was from a divorce, whether it was the relationship didn't work out with the mom and they never got married, whether it's they have multiple businesses and they travel the world, whatever the case may be, that child is going to be affected because the father was not present or the mother wasn't present. So it can't be no better if you got 2 kids over here, 3 kids over here, another kid over here, another kid over there, another kid back here, another kid over here. I mean, and I'm not exaggerating. That is what the fuck it is. Nick Cannon got about 6 baby mamas and is about to birth baby number 10. So if we're sitting here agreeing that a child is affected by his father not being present or not being in the home every day, why would you think that Nick Cannon is not? Why? Hold on, let me finish. Let me get it all out. Why do you think that a child is not going to be affected by Nick Cannon not being? Even if Nick wanted to go to every household once a week, he gonna have to. Somebody gonna have to wait 8-9 days. So how is a child not going to be affected?
I'm not saying it's not going to be affected. I'm not saying the child is not going to be affected.
Then what are you saying?
Every child is going to be affected. I've seen people who stayed together just for the child, and it end up scarring and traumatizing the child worse because those 2 people shouldn't have been together. Right. But they stuck together for the child. And that's still better than him not being there.
Agreed.
So I'm saying a father,
there's levels. There's levels.
People need to realize this.
There's levels.
When you have a kid with someone, the kid is the priority. If that means that you 2 shouldn't be together for that kid,
there's a gray
space.
We agreed that parenting is not black and white, right? So there's a large gray space, right? And let's say that the closer you get to white is better, and the closer you get to black is worse, right? I'm gonna venture out here and say that the child whose parents got a divorce and he sees his dad, let's just say 2 days out of the week, is probably closer to the white side than one of Nick Cannon's kids who is going to have to wait for every 3rd Tuesday to see his dad.
Why does he have to wait every 3rd Tuesday to see his
Because
dad?
Between all the meetings of business he have and traveling and all the other 15,000 kids he got, that's probably how it's going to line up.
I'm saying he can't pick up the phone and FaceTime his kid. But
that's not being physically present.
Yes, it is, Cody.
FaceTime is physically present. Ronnie, can you please chime in here? You are an actual dad.
But you talking about physically, like that's the only way because it's
it's not the only way. But that's
not even.
But the whole term that we've been using is a father in the household. That's what we've been saying this whole time. So FaceTime is not household.
I'm saying household, like you're saying physically being in the house, right?
Yes.
I'm saying a father can still be very active in their child's life without staying with the mother. Without staying with the mother and seeing the kid every day. That's ignorant to say that a man cannot be a good father to his child and a very present
Nick
father.
Cannon is not present most of the time.
We don't know that. You don't be in these folks'
Simple
lives.
math lets you know that. Simple math lets you know. Them niggas don't stay in the same house. All them baby mamas stay in different houses.
I'm saying.
So you think he going to all of them every day?
Nick Cannon never has Nick Cannon ever seen any of his child? Has Nick Cannon ever seen any of his kids? Has he ever been physically present around his kids?
I'm sure he has.
So they know who he is.
Maybe he got like 5 newborns just this year.
I'm saying, but the ones who are old enough and cognitive, they know who he is, right?
I don't. Mariah's kids, yes. The other ones I can't speak for. I don't know.
I think it's just so flawed for women to feel like a nigga gotta be in the house every day.
I didn't say every day.
Yes, that's exactly what you just said.
I said being present in the household. And again, there's degrees. I just gave you examples of folks
who are married and still folks have their jobs what about travel nurses who married with families?
You're trying to make it black and white. You're making it black and white. When I said there are degrees to it. I think that a child who maybe only has their father in the house half the time, 50% of the week, is going to be more scarred than the father who maybe is only gone twice a week or something like that.
I got 2 best friends that were raised by single mothers, and I got 2 other best friends that were raised in 2-parent households just like me, and we all act the same, got to deal with the same shit. It doesn't matter.
We're not talking about dealing with life stuff. We're talking about
a child being raised.
We're not talking about what you experience in life. We're talking about who you are in society.
Talking about that's what I'm saying. What's the difference between Mike Martin and Nigel? Nigel was
I don't
raised
know
by
them.
a single mother, and Mike. But I'm saying like they are both successful. They both have their careers. But Mike was raised
That
by.
doesn't. You can be. We're not
That's
talking
what I'm
about
saying.
levels of
No,
success.
no.
We're not
That's
talking
what-
about levels
We're
of
talking
success.
about the success of the child and how they're going to grow up, right? We're talking about
that's
how they're
not what
gonna
I'm
be-
talking about. That's not
what
what I'm
we're talking about.
That's
We're
not
talking
what I'm
about
talking
Big Cat
about.
is not
When
going to
I'm
be
talking
there
about
for
no,
the kid because the kid is going
Michael,
to suffer and
that's
not going
your
to be
that's
able to
your
be
man.
able to be
That's
adjusted
your
in
man
life.
brain. That's your man brain computing what I'm saying.
So what
I'm
are we
not
talking
ki-
about?
I'm
So
not
what-
talking.
so what are
I'm
the
not
negative
talk-
effects going
If you
to
would be
be?
quiet,
I want
I'm
you to
not
answer this
talking
specific
about.
question because we keep talking around in circles.
I'm
Can you
not
answer this
talking
specific
about
question?
how successful a person is, or I'm talking about who they are as a person. Nigel and Martin, sure, they're both very successful people, but I'm sure.
I'm talking about successful in the fact that they are niggas who have sound mind, who like they're not crazy. Like you talking like just because you're not your
A lot of
father's
people
not-
have sound mind, but that don't mean that they don't have shit that they need to work through.
Everybody does.
Yes, but there's different levels to shit that you need to
And
work
people
through.
who are born in both parents' households still have. I know people who are born in two-parent households who's killed themselves over the years. So what did that mean? The father wasn't present or good enough while he was there. So that's why
not what I'm saying.
So that's what I'm saying. People suffer from things
and
based
I'm
off
not
more
saying
than
that-
just a mother and
Of
father in the
course.
home. You got
Of
school
course.
where kids are gonna spend 8 hours of their day away from their parents.
Michael,
Regardless.
but if there's
You have-
data out there that proves that having your parents present in the home
But-
leads to better lifelong, I don't know, success, whatever, and in terms of like
you just said it's not about success.
success, meaning not necessarily career, but meaning in terms of being
Being
able
of
to
sound mind?
being a healthy individually, both emotional. Because look, let me tell you, my ex, let me tell you, the reason I bring him up a lot was because that nigga was fucked up. Okay, so with him, he had his mom and his stepdad in the same house until he was like a kid. Then they got a divorce. And there was just a lot of stuff that like his parents did that just didn't allow for him to mature the way that maybe he should have. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say. That nigga still had a sound mind. He was still able to get a college degree. He was still able to get a decent job. He's still able to have friendships, but he was emotionally absent.
But he had a father in the household. He had a father figure.
He only for a few years. His parents got a divorce when he was like 5 or 6. And
Did he play any sports?
I think he played football.
So he had coaches. Okay.
So he did have and then his mom did get did date and had a fiance who kind of served as like another father figure in his life, but then he died.
Does he have any uncles?
I don't.
Any
I don't,
male
I don't,
cousins? Any older male cousins?
No, I think it was
like
mostly
anybody in his community that's a man older.
No, well, what I was saying to you, his mom did get into another relationship with somebody who he did build a relationship with, but he died tragically, and then but it was mostly like in terms of his upbringing, like in his home that he saw every day, it was him, his mama, and his sister. It was the three of them, and they grew up kind of poor, having to struggle a lot. And
you don't think those things might have contributed more to
absolutely, and
than just not the
that's
father
and
being
that's
home, the
well,
poor-
I was
the-
about to
the-
say
okay.
the father not being there also contributed to their lack of finances,
not
right?
always, not always.
In this case, it was.
That's in that case.
In that case.
That's
Okay, so again,
case by case.
we're
So
talking,
gonna
but
wait
like I
and
said,
see.
variables, right? Okay,
right.
so that gray scale, right? So I would say that nigga was pretty close to black, in my opinion,
Right.
and having experienced him as my boyfriend at one point. That nigga was pretty close to black, okay?
And money had a lot to do with that. We're gonna say money had probably just
Yeah.
as much to do with that as
Money,
the father
but
not being
also,
there,
but
because he still
also,
had
but
male
also his
influences in his life.
But also his stepfather was not, because his sister was the biological daughter of his stepdad.
Mm-hmm.
That was not his biological father, and so he always felt like his stepdad treated him differently. So we're not only are we talking about a man not being always present in the household, but also him feeling less than because this one male figure or the main male figure he has in his life did not love him the way that he needed to be loved, right? And so my point is, now he's an adult, right? He's at the age where he can start his own family and have kids. Hopefully, he would have learned something from his childhood and his mistakes to where he'd be like, you know what? I'm going to do the very best that I can to make sure that I don't do what was done to me as a kid. and I'm going to get therapy, and I'm going to get the help, and I'm going to do all this unlearning. But otherwise he would just repeat the cycle. And my point in saying this, I don't know what Nick Cannon's upbringing was and what I think I heard him say he was raised in a single parent household. And I've talked to other men about this too, and they say, I just don't think that it's a good idea that he has all these kids spread around, and how that's going to, because at the end of the day, children need their dads, period. You can FaceTime them all day.
Children need men in their lives, period.
Yes, and the father specifically, I mean, just think about what, and I will say this from my perspective. I had both of my parents in my house, but my parents had businesses, and my parents worked a lot, and there was a lot of times that we had other people in our community or in our village who was taking me to school or picking me up from school and taking me home, or helping us cook like our meals and helping us with our homework. Like, my parents were not there necessarily to help me with like regular everyday life type of stuff sometimes, right? Because they were so busy. That affected me, you know? And so now, as somebody who has probably the same level of ambition as my parents, I'm thinking to myself, well, how can I make sure that I don't feel or make my kids feel the way that my parents made me feel, even though I have very similar ambitions in my life? So, you know, I know how I felt when it would be 9:00 at night and it's time for me to go to bed and get ready for school, and I still ain't seen my parents. I haven't seen them since 6:30 this morning. You know what I'm saying? And that would be Monday through Friday. And then on Saturdays, we're working too. And so pretty much the only time we're spending together, or the bulk of our time, is on Sundays, because I go to school all the way over here and I'm getting rides, and my parents aren't even taking me to school. And these are the things that actually happened in my life. And those things affected me. Like, I felt like I did not have a normal childhood. I felt like my parents didn't know what was going on in my life. I felt like, to a degree, I didn't know everything that was going on with them. I just knew that my parents were trying to build something to leave behind for my brother and I. And they were trying to, you know, teach us hard work.
I think that's my point, though. It's like, even you being in this, because you're talking more ideally versus more like reality. I think ideally, yes, we would like everybody to be 2-parent households, because you get that balance, you get that support, you get all those things, right? But at the same time, we have to realize that in reality, even when those 2 parents in the household, is still like, it's never going to be.
It's not going to be perfect.
It's never going to be enough.
No.
There'll always be things.
But you should try your best, right?
To try your best sometimes really looks like, for some people don't need to be in a relationship. Just because they want to have kids together don't mean they need to be together. You see what I'm saying? Or just because they had a child together doesn't mean.
Well, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that you should make a relationship work just so that you guys can
we
have the
already
kids
know
together.
that Nick Cannon said after Mariah, like, he's fucked up in the head and he doesn't think that he's good for relationships.
Okay, so why
so
you go? So why?
So you're saying that the person that's not good in relationships shouldn't have the right to go have kids? When women do it all the time to go get welfare checks.
Wait, first, what?
I said that. I did say that.
Yeah,
I know women. I know. No.
That's not a lot of women doing that, though, Michael. Just because you know some women who did.
I ain't say it's a lot.
Yes, okay. Yes, there are women out there who do, and just like there are men who won't get a decent paying job, so they don't have to pay a whole bunch of child support.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes,
people do the same thing. That's what I'm saying. People do the same thing. So why are we so? Why, when we are at a point?
If you are cognizant that you couldn't even be what you needed to be to Mariah Carey, and you had kids with her, why would you go out and produce other kids with multiple women? Now, you get in a relationship or you think that you've evolved, because there's been times, right, where you be like, okay, I'm aware that I'm this flawed person. Let me go work on myself. Oh, I'm now in a relationship with somebody. I think that I'm healed. I think that I'm good, right? And in that relationship, you have a kid. Okay, that's one thing. And then you realize, like, damn, I still need to work on myself. I'm probably still not really, like, the relationship guy. So let me take a step back and continue to work on but no, he just out here like, no, I can't. I'm not going to be in a relationship here. Ski. You want some ski?
Maybe it's not that. Maybe it's like he's found women who are okay with the arrangement that they've made and the agreement that they made.
Of course, them dumb assholes think that they good in a relationship.
Why do they have to be that? That's what I'm saying. Because women gonna deal with shit whether they with the nigga or not. You see what I'm saying? Some people want to choose their battles.
First of all,
some people want to choose.
Women are birds when it comes to money, and I'm one of them. Okay, so I'll sit here and say, if I were to have been baby mama number 3, not 10, because that's about where he at right now. But if Nick Cannon was to approach me, he only had 2 baby mamas, right? And he used to be like, I want to have a baby with you, Cody. I probably would not deny that. You know why? Because I know that I would be taken care of.
Because
I would
that's
be
what's
straight.
most important. I don't care how much love in that household. If your child ain't getting what they need, they still gonna grow up with resentment. They still gonna grow.
Here's the thing.
Jokingly.
Let's be clear. I know a lot of people, or not a lot of people. I know a handful of people who did not get brought up like in the best of circumstances, and are decent human beings, and are not emotionally fucked up, and are very loving and all. So I really think like it's a matter of like that person's, like your child's mind. Like you don't know how they're gonna grow up to be, or how they're chemically wired to be able to think the way that they think.
Except if they're Nick Cannon's child.
No. I'm saying in general. I'm saying in general.
We know they're gonna grow up fucked up.
No. I'm not saying they're gonna be growing up fucked up. I'm just saying I just don't think that it's smart. If there's literally information out there that says it's best to have the father in the household or be very present. If not in the household, be very present. There's just no mathematically and logistically.
It's probably best to have a health. Because like, what about folks who grew up with abusive fathers? Their fathers was in the household, but they were abused, or like just because the
clearly there's exceptions to that, Michael. I don't know why you're trying. I'm not saying
because I'm saying
this is not black and white.
I'm saying a healthy relationship doesn't have to always look like you in my house every day. Just because you in my house every day, just because you live with me, doesn't mean it's a healthy relationship. We want
okay. So then, what's the limit then? Where does it stop? Because he's still having kids. At what point
does his kid know him? Do they know his history? Do they know what their father like? Does he know what their kid like? This, as long as he can have
none
that
of us. But we don't know that. We don't know.
We don't know that.
But the chances are it won't though.
Because don't know that he has the money and
Michael,
the resources where he might can make that happen.
You really think logistically
he might can make that happen?
You really think that logistically he'll be able to do that amongst several households?
I believe that no one that rich logistically will ever be able to do it.
Can he have 20 more kids amongst 10 more women and it would still be okay? Like, is there a limit to it?
As many as him and these women decide to have is okay with me. I don't care as long as if Nick Cannon was a nigga out here who couldn't support him and was all these women were looking for child support and shit like that. But do you not
think that there's a possibility that may come to a point?
Is it a point now?
I don't know. I don't know his money enough to know. But keep in mind, I think probably 70% of the kids that he got were born in the last 2 years. So we don't know the details yet, but I guarantee you, what we're hearing, this Nick Cannon stuff and all these babies and stuff, we're going to be hearing about this for the rest of our lives.
Right.
Because these children, like one day these children are going to speak and say something. These baby mamas, they're starting to speak now. One of the baby mamas did a podcast not too long ago talking about her experience, right? And she sounded stupid too. So I'm just saying, like, there's stuff that's going to come out where we're going to realize or know what the truths are.
Right.
But Nick Cannon cannot have 100 kids amongst 50 households and it'd be like he just taking care of them. Like, money is not, he does not have an infinite bank account. Okay, he has a lot of money. He ain't got that much money.
He has 10. I think my father had 7, 8 brothers. So I'm sure, and they were definitely not as well off as, Nick Cannon. Like, so I'm saying people do it. Like, people have a lot of kids. They didn't all live in the same household. They were different baby fathers. They got 3 different fathers in their group. So I'm saying, like, it's always gone both ways.
But why do you? But my thing is, like, I feel like you're dismissing what, like, the issue is at the end of the day. Regardless of who it is, I just don't think it's a good idea for anybody, man or woman, to have multiple kids with multiple people.
I can't generalize it like that. I'm sorry. I got to look at Nick Cannon's situation. I feel like Nick Cannon's not just a regular guy. And it seems like that he's circling back with some of the baby mamas and having kids again with mothers that he just had kids with. So obviously,
some of them, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So obviously they are cool with it. So like
but why would you not be? Nick Cannon is worth a lot of money. That's why I'm saying he might be straight financially right now. Because Nick Cannon has a lot of money. Like, he's way more well off than I think most people know or realize. But money doesn't solve everything.
It doesn't.
And of course,
being in the household don't solve everything.
And if you're gonna get pregnant by somebody, of course you want to be by a millionaire. Of course. Of course you'd want to get pregnant by a millionaire.
Why?
We just talked about that.
Oh, I know.
Because you'd be okay. It will elevate. If I'm working right now as a journalist, making less than $100,000 a year, and it's just me taking care of me, and I pop up pregnant, and it's by somebody who's a janitor, God forbid.
I see what your point
by
is.
a janitor, that's not gonna make my life no easier. I'm gonna have to work harder because that means my income is what's gonna have to supplement this child's life. But if I get pregnant by Nick Cannon, oh baby, I'm retiring.
But what if he's there with? What if he's there with you to help you though, and y'all both just there struggling together?
Well, then again,
you don't think that's gonna cause no trauma for the kids?
Yes, that's why I said that we're in that gray space.
Yeah, I know.
We're in that gray space.
I
almost feel like I would rather my child live in an environment where we maybe are not like, we're not struggling, but we're not like well off. I would rather us be like, oh, in a place where we're okay.
No. We're talking about we're talking about security versus not having security. I ain't talking about the money dollars amount. You want to be secured or not, right? When you talk about raising the family, you want that security, right? Mm-hmm. To know that your family is taken care of. Whether I think women want that more than necessarily a nigga being in the house with them at this point in 2022. And I feel like I think
it depends on the woman you talk to.
And if these women are deciding to do that with Nick Cannon, they feel like, well, the financial security is more important for me raising this child, trying not to raise him in poverty not raising him in poverty because I can get the money and the finances from this guy, then I feel like I'm not saying it's the ideal thing, but I don't feel like it's anything.
Yes, there's a lot of women who are like, okay, I'm getting up there in age. I done struck out and got with this man who got some money. I might as well have his baby and take care of him and be taken care of myself and be okay. But in my mind, I'm thinking like there's that line of thinking, and then there's also that woman thinking like, well, shit, there's 5 other baby mamas and he got 7 other kids. Yeah. I may have the money, but is my child really gonna, like, is he really gonna see his father? Like, how is this gonna work, Nick? How are you gonna be able to see how present are you gonna be in my child's life? Full disclosure,
me personally, I wouldn't want to have 10 kids with 6 baby mothers, no matter how much money I had. I'm not saying I agree with what Nick Cannon is doing. I'm just agreeing with letting them do what they want to do.
Yeah, I'm not saying they can't do what they want to do.
As long as it doesn't turn out years later, like if we look back years later and find out, he probably should have been there, then we can say that then.
That's probably going to happen. But
we can say that then.
I'm never going to sit here and
project that on them. You see what I'm saying? We are projecting that on them.
I'm not ever going to tell somebody what they should be doing with their life. I can just say that it's stupid.
Which is kind of like telling them.
No, it's not. Make your dumb ass decisions if you want to, but I'm gonna tell you it's stupid.
I got you. What do you have?
I feel like we've been talking about this for an hour.
Go on, give us your.
We've been going a little long.
We're gonna wrap it up. I want to see what Ronnie got to say because we got.
I see both sides. I kind of side with Rags on this. I'm not one to say if it's right or wrong, just because I don't know the situation. And Cody, I got some substance for that. Okay, so I think about my own situation. My own situation is not for a lot of guys, in the fact that.
What's your situation?
My wife's a breadwinner.
Oh, okay.
I know guys close to me that said, man, I couldn't deal with that. I could not deal with a woman out earning me, and I mean the way it's set up now, like I gotta really go above and beyond to get to my wife's financial level.
Oh, really? Right? What she do?
She's a dentist. So like, come on now, like, and I'm not about to go to dental school or med school. I'm not about to do that. And conversely speaking, it doesn't impact me to a point to where I just gotta go find other sources of income just to say that I make more than my wife does. It doesn't mean that much to me. My wife brings a lot more than money to the table for me, but it works for me. Mm-hmm. So I would be triggered if somebody said, oh, well, his relationship with his wife's going to fail because his wife out earns him. His wife wears the pants. His wife probably telling him, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I think I think we're talking about something that's kind of extreme with Nick Cannon versus something that's a little more practical.
It's a conceptual thought, though. I want you to look at it from a conceptual standpoint. Just because someone else may not agree, and I got homeboys close to me that have told me, man, God, I couldn't do that. That does not make it wrong. That does not make me. That doesn't make me dumb. That doesn't make my wife dumb.
But in your situation,
that works for us. But I'm not close enough to Nick Cannon's situation to say that his situation does not work for him.
I'm not saying it doesn't work for him because clearly it does. But what I'm saying is it a smart decision long term? That's all. We don't know.
That's
we don't know.
I'm saying as a woman, I don't believe that it is. That's the only thing I'm saying. I'm not saying.
And I think
clearly Nick is able to do it because he's been doing it.
And there's some women that agree with it because he's getting done it 10 times now.
We already talked about this. There's always going to be a bird out there who's willing to sign me up to be a baby mama who's going to be taken care of.
Why does he have to be a bird? That's why he some men want to look at him like
because you are
less of a man. You a simp for being with a woman.
You're a bird because you have signed up.
She can always throw that in your face.
You're a bird because you decided to sign up to be baby mama number 8 to have child number 12. And it's like, and again,
for them, it's only her first baby or her second baby though. So
yeah, but until somebody can tell me how this is working logistically, I don't understand it. And that's why I was saying, Ronnie, I understand what you're saying. Your situation with your wife or y'all circumstances is probably considered unique, but it still can happen logistically. All you have to do is, it's just two people. All y'all got to do is sit down, come together, and talk about how are we going to make this marriage or partnership work with you making this amount of money and me making this kind of money. It's just a matter of two people being able to agree and get on one accord. That is not
sound like the same thing with Nick Cannon and his baby mama.
It does seem more daunting, Cody. I will say that with a lot more women involved, but is it impossible? I don't know if any of us have the answer to that question. So in the meantime, it's unfair to say that it's not going to work. Now, I will give
I'm not saying it's not going to work. I'm just saying the chances
give you enough runway to say I'm not a fan of it. You can say that. Like, that's fine. Hey, just being real. I don't know if I could have that many kids out here with different women. I don't. Well, no, I know myself. I know that I could not. Let me rephrase that.
It's not a smart decision. That's all I'm saying.
And Cody, that's where I kind of go with Rags. Like,
just because you don't agree with it doesn't make it smarter. Dumb.
Right. I'm not one to judge and say, oh, well, Cannon's dumb for that. Those women are dumb for that.
Well, I also called Sierra for being in the number of Future as well, and she thinking she was gonna get married to the man. I said, why did you think that you being baby mama number 5 was gonna be the one to get the ring?
Wow, Cody.
Like, yeah, I just think that's women are worse.
We're gonna have to agree
when it comes to other when it comes to tearing down women. Women are worse at it than men. Women tear down other women way quicker than men do. I'm telling you, I see it on this here net so much. I be like, damn, women really will tear another woman down for real.
Well, it is true that women don't like women sometimes, and that's another conversation.
Thank you for admitting that.
But I do think that logistically, when we're talking about this Nick Cannon situation, like hold on, let me finish this. We're just simply asking the question: is this a smart decision long term? And we're saying that based on the variable of he got. I think baby number 10 is going to be born before the end of this year. From what we know.
I think so, yeah.
I think he got 6 baby mamas. I believe
6 or 7 maybe.
6 or 7. Just from us knowing that information alone, how present can he be? How not even just present, but can you even be a quality baby father outside of just like, of course you got the money. Okay, cool. Great. I can give all my baby mamas $100,000 every month. Great. But are you going to be a good father to each child when they are spread out amongst 7 different households?
Well,
That's why I said if they were at least.
We'll have to
Can I
see.
ask you this
If he at least worked on a campus where his home and his business offices were all there, and each baby mama had their own wing attached to the house, I think it's more doable because at least everybody is right there. His whole community is right there in the same place. That's not even happening. I would judge less if that was at least happening. But you got multiple households in multiple places. And let's just assume Cody, they're all in California, but that's logistically, like, I don't
Cody,
see it.
It makes so much sense for us to speculate. All right, but I'm just like, what do we know? And in this situation, there's a lot more we don't know. I thought of this. I'm just going to throw this out here. When we were in Italy on the Amalfi Coast, right? Some couple friends of ours, we rented a yacht. When I tell you in Positano, we saw a D-Wade yacht. I didn't think a yacht like that could exist. All right, you know most yachts have a tender boat that you go inland with, right? Mm-hmm. His tender boat was bigger than our yacht. Until seeing that, I could make all the assumptions in the world I could have about D-Wade's money or what he has access to. But until I saw it, I was like, okay. My whole situation is conceptually, Cody, take the yacht, take the kids out of the situation. Conceptually speaking, we do not know. And I don't think it's healthy to say
we do know because
that's
we have
dumb,
seen it. We know
that
somebody in the hood who has had all
flawed.
these kids and baby mamas.
But this is a different situation.
No, because it's not different because we already said we know that they're taken care of right now. So regardless of the finances, what about everything else?
Can I ask you this question? If what's more important? This is rhetorical. What's more important, money or time? I'm gonna tell you what's more important. Money. Why? Because when the courts say, "Hey, you need child support," they don't say, "And with this child support, you are required to give your child time." They don't say that, but you required to give your girl that check. Matter of fact, we're not even gonna let you give that check and try to get her the money. We're gonna take it out your check. You see what I'm saying? That's how you know that being financially secure for a child and being stable is more important than a person who is there who might not even be healthy enough to properly raise them in the same household. Proximity does not make it better.
Well, I think now we're getting into a different conversation where we're talking about is money. Like, and I get what you're saying, right? But I just gave you an example about how even in my own household when I was raised, we were good. I grew up in a nice size house, multiple garages, and private neighborhood, private school. But there was a lot of times that I was looking for my parents to be more present than they actually were.
So your parents weren't present?
They were present, but not to the degree that, like, I wish they would have been. They weren't present to the degree that, like, some of my other friends.
So they were absent?
No. Why are you doing that?
Because that's how black and white you're making it for Nick
No,
Cannon
I'm
right
not.
Now. Yes, you are.
No, I'm not. I'm saying that based off of logistics.
You keep talking about logistics. I told you what logistics is in America. It's money. That's the logistics. Can they be secure?
Yeah, but
that's the only logistical thing that we worried about.
Okay, Michael, I understand that, but what I'm saying is money and time can be it just varies. I feel like it because there could be somebody who was in the opposite situation of what I was when I was a kid, right? They have no money, right? But their parents were there all the time, right? That doesn't mean that they didn't experience some level of trauma still.
Right.
So I'm saying, like, I'm not negating one for the other. I'm just saying, like, the chances are because he has so many kids, he's not going to be able to give that much time. Money does not erase that, though.
No, it doesn't.
Money helps.
It doesn't erase it.
But it doesn't erase it.
I didn't say that.
Okay, so
I'm saying those kids probably gonna deal with some kind of trauma, but so did I, and I was in the same parent household.
Yeah, none of us are scar free. I just think that it's our responsibility if you decide to be a parent, and I think this is where, especially in the black community, I think so many times people just end up pregnant. It's not planned, right? Even within marriages, it's like, we got pregnant. We was going to wait a couple years, but we just end up pregnant, and it just happened, right? So we ignore the fact that there is a possibility that you can plan a pregnancy and be thoughtful in how you raise your child. That is possible. But I don't think that as a culture or as a community, we tend to think that way because that we just haven't, we haven't always, like, for a lot of us, if we just sat around waiting until we had the right amount of money or the right amount of resources or the right job or the right house or what, a lot of us just would never have kids, right? So that's part of it, right? But some of it, in my opinion, like there's a gray area to where you can plan to a degree. Yeah. And so I don't know. I feel like some of this, like we're dismissing because it's like, well, we know such and such did this or we know such and such did that. Like we're so used to seeing people just doing things without any real thought. And what I'm saying is, as a group, we should be thinking more proactively in how we are choosing to have kids. As we're supposed to be, in my opinion, we're supposed to be thinking, I'm going to sign up to be a parent. What is the best way for me to be a parent? Outside of just being able to provide the resources, outside of me just being able to make sure they're fed and clothed and even educated, how can I help them develop a good emotional or a high emotional IQ? How can I make sure that they know how to be a good neighbor? How can I make sure that they are providing to society by just being a good human being? Your parents instill that in you by spending that extra time with you.
But that also comes through like conversation. Like that doesn't really have to be a I'm in the house thing. You see what I'm saying? Like that can be like the things that I remember.
Yeah, but how many times are you planning a conversation via FaceTime?
No, I'm saying the things that I remember more of my from growing up, like that I take with me every day, are like the things my father said. I can't remember if he said them while we were sitting down on the couch or if he told me that on the phone.
But
if I got it from another guy.
But most of the time, the conversations that you're gonna have with your parent are going to be in proximity to when you guys were in the same place.
Yeah, when we were growing up, because we didn't have cell phones and smart ass phones, so we couldn't FaceTime my parents.
Even
so
today,
I'm telling you, it's different today because I'm telling you, I've seen it. I've seen kids who are so like that's all they do is be on FaceTime and shit all day, and they feel like I know folks they can do that with their friends. They don't never be.
I
around
do that with
friends.
my godchildren. I talk to them regularly on FaceTime, but still, when I go to visit them in Texas, the conversations are different in person than they are via FaceTime.
That's y'all. That's not everybody. That's what I'm saying.
No, that's just how communication works.
No,
what
it's
you talking
not.
about? Yes, it is.
So you're saying you can only talk.
No, what I'm saying, no, Michael, you're making this black and white. You can have a conversation via FaceTime. You can do that every day. However, when you're living with a person or in the same place as them, you see them do certain things that you didn't see on FaceTime. You hear them. You experience a person in person differently than you do through FaceTime. And so that leads to a different type of communication than you would just have through a phone.
So you saying long distance, by this logic, long distance relationships could never work. If you live outside the same state with somebody, they can never work because you can't see each other every day, and the only time you can see each other is maybe once or twice a month. They can't work.
You're talking about two functioning adults versus a child and parent dynamic. Those are two different things.
No, it's not.
Yes,
no,
it is
not,
because
Cody.
a child is growing up.
We're talking about strictly can you have a relationship?
Yes, you can have
with
a relationship.
Without,
yes,
okay.
Because you're two adults.
No. You can still have a relationship with the child and be connected with the child without physically being there.
Michael,
I know kids who were raised on army ships in
of course
across the seas.
I didn't say they couldn't get to live. I didn't say they couldn't have a relationship through FaceTime. What I said, the quality is not there. It's not the same. How do you know
it's not a healthy relationship?
I didn't say it's not healthy. I'm saying the quality is not there. It's not as good.
Well, I just worried about the health of it. I ain't worried about the quality.
Well, that makes a difference.
Because I'm not judging. I don't sit around judging other folks' relationships.
I'm tired.
I don't sit around judging other folks' relationship. I want people to stop judging other folks' circumstances. Feel me? Like if it don't work for you, they say it don't work for you. They're public figures,
so they're subject to being.
No, it's not.
Yes, when you're famous and you decide that this is the field that I'm going to continue to work in, so I can make my money, you by that you sign up to also be criticized by the public. That's just what it is.
I got you. So just me living in this world, if I walk outside and somebody got something to say to me, I deserve that for walking outside. And they
Are you a public figure?
No, but you just basically saying since they have access and they can see you.
No, that's not what I said.
So
we know more about Nick Cannon than you would the average person who walked by you on the sidewalk because they're famous.
No, we don't. We don't know much about Nick Cannon. We just say here and say.
Oh my God.
We just say here and admit.
So if you walk into a restaurant and a white guy walks by, you automatically know their name, their age, what they do for a living. That doesn't mean we
know them and know what they got going on. It's folks like that in Birmingham who ain't just. If I see James Spann out somewhere, I'm not gonna goddamn just assume I know James Spann because I done seen his ass
I'm not saying
on the
we
news all
assume.
fucking my
I'm not
life.
saying we know them, but we because he is a public figure, people can make assumptions about who you are because you are in the public eye. That's just how it works.
Okay, they can do that, but you said him being a public figure signs you up for that.
That's
That's not what they're signing up for. He signed up to get this money, and he just chose to get it that way.
Though. You know what come with being in the entertainment industry. Just like me, I know that, and I don't consider myself famous by no means. However, I know that there's a certain level of visibility that I have because of the work that I do, and that means that there are certain things that I can and cannot do because of that level of visibility that I have. Because I know that there's a chance that somebody could say, oh, I seen Cody do da-da-da-da-da-da. And I know they don't know shit about me, but I know that there's a possibility that conversation or whatever they're saying can come up.
I feel like that's true for everybody.
And I'm signing up for that because of the work that I'm doing. If I did not want that at all in my life, I would stop doing the work that I'm doing.
I would agree with that if it wasn't for social media. Like I see folks doing that in Facebook. I know folks on Facebook.
People were doing this before social media.
That's what I'm saying. But in 2022, like
it's exacerbated. Yes,
so
everybody has an opinion.
Anybody can be technically a influencer or technically somewhat recognizable by the majority or by the public. You see what I'm saying? Doesn't mean that they sign up to be abused by people who want to give opinions.
Of course not. But what I'm saying is you have to be aware to know that it's going to happen.
Right. But
that's all I'm saying.
Oh yeah, but that doesn't mean I'm signing up for you to do this shit.
My point is, Michael, when you decide that you're going to grow a platform with a large audience, you have to know in your mind, or at least you an idiot in my mind,
that what comes with it.
What comes with it is people are going to probably scrutinize you.
Right.
And if that's not what you want, then you don't need to be doing this. But I'm saying in
2022, I see a lot of shit that's on Twitter when folks getting scrutinized from just regular people who become memes. Like these people don't be famous and they become memes. Terrio wasn't famous before they started making fun of his ass.
Well, that's what there's a difference between like famous and public figures and people who just
that's
have
what I'm trying to tell
platforms.
you. With 2022 is allow everybody to give an opinion
that's
about
why
everybody
I said,
and anything.
Even with me and my little bit of a platform that I have, the teeny bit one I have, I'm aware of the level of visibility that I have.
We will agree to disagree, but I do love. I did enjoy this. I'm sorry.
Oh my God! 5 hours later.
Yeah, but I enjoy it because we got into a little more of how we really talk when we not on air. Usually we try to be a lot more nice. We play nice.
Really?
But yeah, we play a little more nice usually. But this was a more how we really talk when there's no bad blood between me and Cody. I assure you all. We love each other. We're good friends. We're both stuck in our.
I don't want to come on here talking about relationships every week though, or every episode. That wears me out.
But you did bring me the clip about the woman asking. You know what I'm saying?
I just wanted you to see that though. I wanted to talk about the Nia Long thing too. I know we don't have time about that.
Oh yeah.
But I really just wanted to talk about the Lizzo and Aries Spears and the Nia Long and the coaster.
We did veer off to Nick Cannon, but we'll get it next time. Mm-hmm. Till next time, I'm Mike Raggs. You got Cody D on air. Cody D. Big Gat.
Tat.